This is amazing. It's clash heads again. This is like Chaz Moskin and Cam Water.
It's motorsport, but not as you know it. Test yourself and your everyday road car. Safe, affordable, but most of all, fun. And all you need is your daily driver. Experience the thrill of a sprint day. Race against the clock at a hill climb. Or test your reflexes with an auto test. It takes just 3 simple steps to get started. Get on the start line. Search Motorsport Australia Daily Driver today.
Fishies in a row. They're here to make a point and to do Eddie proud. They fan out in the background as they come down to turn 1 for the first time. It all looks pretty good, 2 by 2. We'll stop the camera here. Oh, Eddie would be proud, mate. That was awesome run around turn 1. But, oi! Contact with the fishies!
He's made it through. It doesn't look like Angus has made it, but Thomas Freeman's made it through, and Angus is going to suffer the crowd coming through there to be able to turn his car around. Woo.
I love riding. It's a real social thing. There's a great bond between riders.
Every weekend, I look forward to getting out there. It's a freedom like no other.
Riding to work is a great way to start the day.
Shannon's insure all types of road bikes, not just classics. They offer features riders really want. It's why they're one of Australia's leading motorcycle insurance providers.
Whatever you ride, whatever you ride,
Whatever you ride.
ride with Shannon's.
Call 134646 for a quote.
And they are off. It was a good start from Dylan De Bono. I think Phil Vella got a great start there in the background as well. You can see already cars going 5, 6 wide as they're trying to find any semblance of space. They come into T1. So far we've got 2, 3 wide as they snake down. There's Michael Culture that's got around Dylan De Bono. A couple of cars going wide there. Was that a bit of contact in the back? Scott Pocock caught up in that, I think, there, buddy. But it's Michael Cullaghar's got past, so Dylan...
light is coming out and we're about to get going, and we have a green light and a very slow start for the 86s, but they are moving out there on the grid. It would be very interesting to see exactly which driver can capitalise on this first lap. Just go through the grid. Look like Jamie Christensen had a really awesome start to get ahead of Dylan De Bono, and Doug Gowage also jumped his teammate as well, so unfortunately Dylan stalled the car a little bit more than what he preferred. But
Weekend in, weekend out, Motorsport Australia officials are making waves. From waving flags, waving cars through pit lane, or responding to a wave for help. Wave hello to new lifelong friends. Who knows, you might just make waves around the world. Ride the first wave. Search Motorsport Australia officials today.
Still great classes of car, and if you are able to, if you're coming up the ranks on iRacing through the licenses, it's a fantastic sort of laneway into prototype driving, going from that GT3 up through the prototype classes. As the safety car pulls in, we get ready to go green as we come up towards the line. Edwards, Hasler, who's going to get the jump down to turn 1, or will any of the fishies, any of the piranhas in behind them, assault them down towards
green and they're off.
First lap? Let's go here.
We've always had a few cars. They're all special. The T-Bird.
Oh, that's mine.
The Combi for when we want to get away. The XR8.
It's going to be a classic.
They're all insured with Shannon's.
We've also got Shannon's home and contents cover,
which helps protect our automotive collectibles, tools and memorabilia in the home and garage. If you're motoring enthusiasts like us, it's got to be
Shannon's.
Shannon's, insurance for motoring enthusiasts. Call 134646 for a quote.
This is amazing. It's clash heads again. This is like Chaz Moskin and Cam Waters. Almost the same situation. Better contact going down the hill. Sam Noble wants to sniff on Dave Coleman now. Sam Noble bottle right now because I'll tell you what, Reece Tannock and Jamie Dyson just absolutely drove away from us. Hayden trying to go around the outside. This is where he could have just sent it up the inside, but he hasn't committed, which is fair enough. It's very scary out there, ladies and gentlemen. Let's see if we get a good run. Dodd's just absolute thinker, but it's a really nice move. Blake Delaney had to move out of the way.
Off the back of the wild start of the season, we are here for the Shannon's Formula 3 Nationals back on Sim Racing World TV. Welcome in tonight, ladies and gentlemen. Good evening, good morning, good afternoon, wherever it is you are watching from in the world. We are here for round number 7 of Season 1 of 2024 for the SRW TV Shannon's Formula 3 Nationals out at Okayama International Circuit. I'm your commentator here tonight, Hamish Munro. Joining alongside me back in the booth for the F3s, finally, it is Andrew Cowan. Cowie, is it good to be back, mate, in the world of open wheelers, but the top class of open wheelers here in SRW?
It certainly is. I've been helping out JP with the Monday night Formula Vs, and although they have their own little charm, they're nothing like these F3 machines here. Possibly the last time we're going to run them this season if we change over to the new Super Light with the weather.
It has been confirmed that
this is the last season. You know, definitely can't miss the last round this year. I've had a habit of missing the final rounds for a couple of seasons. So I'm definitely not going to do that this time. But yeah, no, look, it's great to be back, and howdy drivers and viewers and everyone out there.
Well, I mean, it's already been a fantastic season so far. A couple of different drivers in this championship hump, that including Caleb Ballack, Jay Dixon, Dylan DeBono, David Gallo, and Daniel Byrne as well, including Andrew Johnston for the Pro-Ams. He was up in the top 6 prior to last week's race. Now, Okayama tonight, super sprint action. 3 little 20-minute races, so we're not really going to see anything in terms of fuel strategy here tonight, Cowie, but maybe race strategy of how drivers approach the race, approach the track, and just try and keep it out of trouble at a circuit that on the face of it doesn't seem like it should be a struggle, but in the past it has actually offered up some challenges for the drivers.
Look, it's a fast, nimble track. It's quite technical for the open wheeler machines. A little bit different when you're driving a V8 supercar and that, but it still is quite a technical track. Got to put yourself in the right position. There's places there, especially with the start of the lap, where you're just looking to straight line it as much as you can, and those corners just become straights for these things. But as we've seen before, it's all about how brave are you in those big areas where you're trying to carry more speed, therefore more aero, therefore more grip, or are you, not quite up to trusting the car to that extent and really, exploiting the downforce that they provide.
Now, I know we had the little matchboxes made in heaven here earlier in the season. It was the start of the Formula V season. So comparing the open wheelers, how did those guys go out in round 1 of that series, and how do you think that could maybe compare to tonight's racing for the Formula 3s on the same circuit?
Look, it is interesting. I mean, like commentating on Monday night for those Formula Vs, again, it's been quite exciting because the cars are constantly running so close together. We see the draft always, at play, even though they're a little pencil with wheels. Now, these things here, they do create a much bigger sort of hole in the air. So, at a track like Okayama, that big, long straight down the back here, we see it time and time again that guys are able to, make a play, make a pass as they get into sort of the last third of the lap. And that's where the excitement can be.
Now, I know out at Okayama, I did tune in for a little bit of that race for the Formula Vs. That little back straight there, they were screaming their absolute heads off down the straight, just barely able to get up to speed. Where these things, a little bit more pace in them. Now, I saw the other day a video put out by David Gallo's teammate, Daniel Byrne, who's just ahead of him here on track, out on his YouTube channel, Driver 808. And he actually made a comparison between the F3 and the SF24, the new Super Formula Light car. And these things are actually a bit faster in the straights than the SF24, but the SF24 makes up for the lap time in the corners, and it's actually faster over a lap because of how much more downforce it actually has and how much more you can actually push it through the corners. So it'll be interesting to see what the changes are going to be like coming Season 2 of SRW. Obviously, we'll get our little preview of them in between the season for those F1 rounds that happen between Season 1 and Season 2 of SRW. But I think it's going to be a good change for these drivers, a good new little challenge course. DRS part of that car as well, so that's a new challenge drivers are going to have to tackle going into next season. But we could see some drivers rise up the rankings a little bit. You know, they might be used to using DRS if they've played the F1 games before. You know, that might be something that they actually don't have to learn where other drivers do. So it's going to be quite interesting to see that changeover happening. But into the end of practice now, we go into qualifying, Cowie. Only get the 15 minutes though. They get cut off at the end of the 15 because of super sprint format here tonight. So could be on for young and old out there, depending on how willing the drivers are to push it here in qualifying nice and early on.
Well, early on, of course. I mean, it takes probably a lap, possibly 2 out laps to get these tyres up to the temp where you can really push and rely on them. Because again, as I said, we talk about it constantly, but the aero on these sort of style of cars means that you carry more speed, there's more grip that enables you to, you know, fly through. Now, one of the things that I've heard about the new car is it seems it's a bit tamer, a bit easier to drive than the F3. Now, some of the drivers might, you know, be a little miffed by that because sometimes the cars that really, you know, are a little bit more difficult to drive, they're the ones that feel alive and they feel right on the edge.
So we've already had a couple of chats come in from Ray Douglas saying, go Grandpa Gowan's practice look good, old boy. And Stephanie Piccoli as well, my IMSA cohort, who's been covering you for the last couple of weeks, Cowie, saying, good luck, Mark, go Team Apex Esports lead, and then also welcoming you back into the booth as well, Cowie. So great to have those chats in there already.
Yeah, thanks very much for filling in, Steph, and great to see you watching. Look, it's been a funny sort of few weeks where I've been able to fill in on Monday nights, and I've even been doing a few nights with the GR86s filling in so that Stephen can have a bit of a drive as well. So I've missed the Wednesday night commentary, and I've ended up doing Mondays and Thursdays, you know, maybe feeling a bit guilty that I was missing the Wednesday.
So we will now start out our qualifying session here. Dylan DeBono has had such an impressive run already this season, and as he follows Caleb Bellac around for their first laps, Bellac already setting the pace out in the first sector. So it could be nice little 3 or 4 way dance here tonight between a couple of drivers. Of course, Jay Dixon missing here tonight. He's one of former 3 winners of this track over the previous 2 rounds we've spent here across 4 races. So Jay is the most accustomed winner of this track. He's the most successful, but not out there here tonight to try and push on to those statistics. But what we also have got on offer, though, is 3 races tonight and the opportunity for a driver to be the first one ever to win all 3 races in a sprint round format and possibly pip Jay for most wins out at Okayama.
Look, it's going to be tricky because remember the second race will be a reverse top 10. The third race a reverse top 5, so I suppose it does get easier to make your way through in the third race, but 10 positions, there's not a lot separating a bunch of these guys. We always see the times, they're not separated by tenths, they're separated by hundredths and thousandths in some cases, so it's not easy to make your way through one of those reverse top 10s. When the guys in front have got so much space.
We're on board here with Dylan DeBono as he comes round the final corner, this a very difficult section of circuit. I thought it was the final corner for a moment there, but he's actually just come through turn 1, in fact. But this first little section of circuit could be on for a little bit of carnage here tonight, Cowie. You can sometimes get cars kind of overlapping through this section, and then as they come into this kind of winding right-hander, as you're kind of applying more power onto the throttle through midway through the corner, you can sometimes get drivers overlapping, as I said, and even coming together through the corner. So could be one that we need to keep an eye on here tonight for an area of opportunity for overtaking, but also an area of danger for certain drivers as well.
Well, it's probably more about trying to maximise your run onto that back straight to make the turn at the hairpin there, to make you move there. So that's what the guys are thinking about. But, you know, the trap is that you get on it a little bit earlier, a little bit too hard, and you start to lose the rear. And what we find in these sort of things, once you start to lose that rear, there's a very short window for you to be able to catch it. And if you miss that, you're gone. And, you know, the pros are the ones that are able to dance that line and deal with it. But really, that's the difference of the levels of drivers in these cars, is the guys that are able to race it at that limit, feel when it's just about to go and make those adjustments so that they don't step over the limit. For us average sim racers, that limit is a tiny little ballpoint pen line. Whereas for these races, that's more likely a big thick texter. They've got more, feel of being on that edge to know where they can push and how to make the most of it.
So a couple more comments we got. Andrew Rushworth saying, good luck, Mark. 70 Bacoli also saying, probably should be cutting 8-6 laps, but I'm here watching instead. And then Stephanie also said, 100% will be carnage tonight. We'll have to wait and see, Steph. And then Andrew saying, I'm sure the safety car has a new engine. So I don't know if you caught last week's broadcast, Cowie, but Greg Leake, our safety car driver, managed to blow the engine of the safety car going up the hill at Bathurst on the final lap of the safety car. And only just made it back to the pits by clutching down the straight. I mean, it wasn't the wildest thing we saw all night, but he got a good old chirp from some of us afterwards.
I did hear a few of the guys talking about carnage and floating cars and everything else you were mentioning there before. Yeah, look, Steph, thank you for reminding me too. I am back in the F3, something that I've missed doing, buddy. Are we going to make a call on the safety cars for tonight? Overall, 3 races?
Yeah.
How many are we going to get?
I think, I want to say we get at least 1 across the 20-minute races. Obviously, knowing that it is super sprint action, but knowing also it is Okayama, it could be, a maximum of 3, a minimum of 0. But I'm going to say 1 and be somewhat conservative, but it could be more than that. We'll have to wait and see, Cowie.
All right, I sort of tend to agree with you. The drivers have been here a few times, and there's quite a few of them that have got a good handle around it. But so I reckon we might get 1 clean race, so I'm going to go for 2.
Yeah, I think
Andrew Rushworth agreeing with me, and he's going with 2.
Yeah, I think that's a fair call, and I wouldn't be surprised if that was correct as well. I know that sometimes super sprints are not very good for getting those safety cars, but I wouldn't be surprised. I would not be surprised with 2, but yeah, I think 1 is maybe the smarter option by myself, but we'll wait and see. I don't think there's going to be much difference between them, to be honest with you, Cowie, between both options. I think we're going to be pretty close on that one, I reckon. I doubt we're going to get more than 3 across the 3 races, just based on how long the safety car can be out there for and how much time we can actually lose in a race.
The issue is we could end up with 2 clean races and one race that ends up with 2 safety cars.
That's it. We could indeed.
Safety cars breed safety cars, man.
Well, that's right. And, if we get one early enough in the race, then it leaves us time for one. Knowing, though, that you can't get one in the final 5 minutes of a race, only leaves 15 minutes open for drivers to have an incident badly enough for a safety car. So we'll have to wait and see, though. But currently, as they stand halfway through qualifying, Dylan De Bono sits on top of the standings with a 121.8, only driver to get into the 21s thus far. Dougie Gowans, though, immense pace from the grandpa at the moment. P2 with a 122 dead. He's actually pipped Bellac by 0.06 of a second. An absolutely mega lap time there from the Velocity SimLabs driver.
Dylan De Bono, he's shown great pace in pretty much all the cars he's driving. Currently having a great run in the 86s and leading that championship. He's right in sort of the hunt here, especially tonight with a 121.896. So the first of the drivers into the 121s as well. So, but again, you go down the field, and it's not until we get down to 13th, 14th, 15th before we're over a second a gap. Yeah, 15th is 1.2 off the leader. So. The times are just close, and they always are with these boys.
I mean, you can look at the interval, Cowie. It's until we get down to P18, Kevin Wakefield, that we're out between drivers by more than half a second. Like every driver is separated by less than half a second at the moment. From the driver ahead and behind.
And there's at least 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There's at least 7 or 8 of them that are also within a tenth. Inside a tenth. Like Cochrane and Gerard. Cochrane's 1/100th behind Gerard in 12th position at the moment. So, and this is the one thing we keep saying about this series is the gaps are so close all the way back through the field. So, if you're not the super quick driver that can race up the front with the De Bono, the Gowans, the Bellacs, the Burns of this series, you still find,
that's Mark
big
Cochrane.
loss there from Cochrane. And that's probably wrecked Gowans and Fahey, I think, as well. And a broken car here to start again. But yeah, look, it's no matter where your pace is, you'll find guys to be able to race with. And these boys have been racing together for quite a while now. I know we've got a few new names in there as well. But, part of the reason these guys keep coming back and racing against each other is because there's good respect and they're racing hard and giving each other room.
So got a couple of comments out there as well. A couple of them from Pricey, who joined me in the comms box last night covering for Sinker. He's saying, evening Hamish and Cowie, solid effort last night. He was giving you there, Cowie. You didn't do too bad out in the Supercars series on Tuesday.
Made a couple of mistakes that cost me. I locked up going into the big first turn after the first straight, the big long straight, and that cooked my tyres. And at the end of that stint, I think I ran wide twice on the in lap, and that cost me about 4 spots. So yeah, just a rookie mistake, I suppose. And I tried to push hard and that, and probably chewed up my tyres towards the end. Again, it's good fun though. Still enjoyed it. But yeah, I think towards the end, myself and was it Stephen? We were both sitting on 16X and 17X as a drive-through. So for about the last 20 minutes of the race, we were battling that close, but neither one of us was prepared to really push the envelope because we were worried that contact would kill us.
So Hutto's also gone in the chat for us. Said don't forget a handful of rear of grids and pit lane starts trying to come through the field too. So I did notice there is about, let me do the quick maths here, about 9 drivers who are not out there setting a time at the moment. Fair few of them were ones who got rear grids for not making it to the end of the, getting around for the kind of parade lap at the end of Bathurst.
Didn't have enough fuel to get up the hill.
Yeah.
Because that's all you got to do, get up the hill, you can get back down.
Yep, and namely one of them is Daniel Byrne. Who's in contention for this championship. So going to be quite interesting to see what he can do here tonight, starting for outside the top 20 in this race.
He's got 31 points over his teammate David Gallo. Caleb Bellac, who's been closing that gap as well. I think he's a further 36 points back. So at the moment, Bellac's P5. Gallo P3, so I think Daniel's going to have his work cut out for him. I know he's had a bit of an up and down season in the Formula V's, getting involved in a couple of little incidents, but it's good to see him at the pointy end of the field. This championship, it's going to be nice and tight.
Yeah, I think don't put it past Daniel though, ladies and gentlemen. I doubt Cowie would at least. Daniel can make his way through the field. Like, he just pushes on through. We're up to nearly, I think, 30 drivers signed up for tonight's session. So we could be on here for quite a wild night of racing also, namely return of Tyler Sheaf into the F3s after being away for just over a month after being in Japan. So he makes his return to this series here tonight. Of course, was in the Formula V's Monday night. So now he wants to have a crack in these little whippersnapper cars. The little, they're almost like, we call them paper mache machines, but I feel like if they were paper mache, they'd break up just by going how fast they go down the straight. But they are absolutely wild to drive, and I think they offer up such a good challenge.
And there's several places here where you get it wrong there, you go into the tyre barrier, enough of the car will break that it won't move. There comes the safety car. The only issue is, I suppose, race control will not call a safety car in the last 5 minutes of the race, so that does limit the opportunity. But still. Now, Steph did bring up a good point in the chat there. Byrne has really good to be a massive charge forward, tipping top 5 at the end of race 3. Look, I'm sure that he will be targeting P10 in race number 1 for that all-important reverse top 10. Pricey thinks Andrew Rushworth sounds like a Polly.
Possibly. Who's our money on Cowie? I think it's hard to put it past De Bono. He's had such a strong run recently. Gowans is up there. I feel like going for the outside pick of the Grandpa, but I know that him and Dylan will work together, and likely he'll let Dylan have it, seeing as Dylan's more in the championship fight than him. Especially after speaking to them on the 8-6s the other night. Like, he's willing to give up a win to help Dylan out in the championship. David Gallo's up there too. Greg Bradley, even Caleb Ballack. I don't know. I think Caleb's season's been a little bit inconsistent for a couple of weeks. Although Aragon was a real coming out party for him. I'm gonna hazard a guess, and I'm gonna say I'm gonna go the easy choice here. I'm gonna go De Bono for the round win here tonight. I think the fact that he has Gowans backing him up is going to give him a massive advantage over the rest of the field, and both of them are quick, so it's only going to help both of them. But we'll get up our starting grid for tonight's race, Cowie, and then you can quickly give us your predictions once we run through it. Dylan De Bono will start at a P1 for race number 1. Tonight it's a Velocity SimLab front row lockout with the Grandpa Dougie Gowan starting in P2 alongside. It's then David Gallo and Greg Bradley making up the second row of the grid, ahead of Scott Pocock and Caleb Ballack out of P5 and P6 in behind. We then have Darren Fahey and Will Ryan making up the fourth row, with Matty Gerard and Mark Turner starting P1 and 2 for the Pro-Ams, P9 and 10 on the road here tonight, with Chris Swadling and Callan Hodgkinson just missing out on the top 10 start. We then move down to Mark Cochran and Dean Sinkovich starting P1 and 2 for the amateurs, P13 and 14 on the road, with Matt Tessiero starting in behind them, alongside Nick Schmalenberg in P15 and 16. We then move down to Matt Neal in P17 with Sam Catakazinos out of P18, with Greg Johnson and Kevin Wakefield making up the top 20. It then is Adam Simpson and Brad Hudson in behind, with Daniel Byrne and Callum Rossender lining up in behind them. A heap of rear grids here tonight, and it starts with P21. We then go down to Andrew Johnston, Mitch Noble, our race controller Greg Barber, Cowie, yourself here in the box, Keegan Caldwell, Tyler Sheaf in behind them. That is our field. That is our grid. We've only got one race controller out there tonight, though, Cowie. So Mr. Leak, maybe a little bit of embarrassment after last week's mishap with the safety car. Maybe he decided, I better sit this one out.
Yeah, I did warn you about my name maybe appearing. I forgot to join
right.
as a watcher.
It's only on the grid. It's only on the grid. It's okay. It won't show up on the timing tower. I can guarantee you that.
But nah, look, you asked me about my predictions there. I think, look, David Gallo, he's in the hunt for the championship, so I would not be surprised to see him be super focused tonight. Maybe he may not be aggressive and go for the win, but I'm expecting a clean result, really focusing on, getting at the front there and getting some clean air. So I would not be surprised to see him, get to the front quickly. De Bono, well, he's always going to fight hard, so I'm not sure if he'll go for the win. But as for the round victory, I think Gallo's a pretty good bet for tonight.
We've got Stephanie Piccoli. You might have your rose-coloured glasses on here. Nothing against Mark, but she's making the bold prediction that he's going to be in the top 3 for the round, even though he's starting P1 for the amateurs, P13 on the road, with a heap of competitive pros ahead of him. And a charging Daniel Byrne coming up in behind. I mean, Mark did sneak a sneaky, I think he got into the top 5 last week at Bathurst. I don't know, though, if it's going to go his way here tonight. Maybe if he can get it into P10 to start P1 of race number 2. We'll have to wait and see how that goes.
One driver who's not too sure about it is Sheepy. He's put a chat out there, going in blind, no practice, thanks to uni today. So driving cold tonight, Sheepy. Should we add an extra safety car to our predictions, knowing that now?
Possibly. He's also starting from the back of the field. Keegan Caldwell not on the grid, though. Neither is Adam Simpson. Lights are going up. Let's go racing. The first of 3 runs here tonight around Okayama. De Bono on pole. Gowan's in P2. Who's going to get the run down towards turn number 2 as they come off the line? They start to fan out all down the straight. Big move there as they come into 1. They're looking nice and tidy so far. Nothing to question, nothing to comment on as they make their way through the first sector of this circuit. Oh, it's a bit of hope and pray, bit of fingers crossed that we can keep this clean on lap number 1, Cowie.
Well, there'll be guys that are good on cold tyres and really prepared to make those moves early. There's other guys that aren't quite so sure and maybe a bit tentative until the tyres get up to temp. You can see there is that Pocock. It's Ryan in the 85 machine there making a bit of a move up the inside, but he's also got Fahey, Pocock there, so both of them battling hard. Is that Gowans that's dropped back? I know it's Caleb. Greg Bradley that's been swamped there, I think. And yes. Yeah, I think it was. He had Caleb Belloc just go around the outside of him there before.
So I've already had an early incident here. Chris Swadling's gone off the track. We'll get the replay happening at the end of lap number 1. On board now, though, with our current race leader, Dougie Gowans. He's taking the lead off his teammate DeBono, but I do expect them to work together to try and build the gap over Gallo in behind. As we come down to start lap number 2 of tonight's first little 20-minute sprint race. As they come round 1 for the second time. It's Gowans to DeBono to Bellac to Bradley. That's the 5. Pocock, Ryan Fahey, Gerard Turner, Cochrane. That's the top 11. So Cochrane just outside the top 10. And he's done well here to get off the start nice and clean and just get the car up a couple of positions. This is what happened to Mr. Swadling early on. As we check this out here.
He was going to go into the rear of, who's that in front of him there?
I believe it's one of the Velocity cars. Might have been Gerard.
That was a bit of self,
big slide hits.
Tiny little tap.
That was Noble that he hit, there. I do believe. But he was lucky not to take him out. But very, very close indeed as they continue on, though, throughout the rest of this lap. We will get those replay screens fixed as well, ladies and gentlemen, prior to next week. That's actually just giving me the little reminder to fix it after the broadcast. But yeah, Cochrane doing well here early on. And there was a little bit of controversy after last week. I made the mistake of thinking, oh, that's actually Mark Turner, sorry, that I'm focusing on. Mark Turner, who was involved in that incident. There's Cochrane in behind, though. There was a little bit of controversy between him and Callum Rossender, because I made the mistake of thinking one was the other out at Bathurst. Now, the controversy came from the fact that they both have a silver car. It's Darren Fahey off the exit of 1 in the DFR machine. As he makes his way back on
that
track.
Battle for about, 6-7 there. So I don't know what's happened. Was it contact or he's just cooked it, gone in a bit hot?
Well, there was a couple little off tracks in the background prior to that. This is how it happened to Fahey. So down to turn 1. Had Will Ryan in behind. Oh, a bit of net code there. Yeah, there's a bit of net code in it, so we'll have to wait and see what race controls say about that one. But yeah, now he's rolling around towards the back of the field. So the controversy came from the fact, just quickly, where is he? Callum Rossender was running a silver-based livery. He's now changed it for this more camo look. So just from a distance, his car looks like Mark's. Or Mark's looked like his, so I made the mistake of confusing them. So I was trying to do you proud, Cowie, by getting some of the liveries mixed up, but yeah.
Well, that's one of the things, you guys, we sort of finally get used to a livery and that, and then you change it. I mean, it's going to be completely different again next season. Oh, who's that in the background? It's Bradley. Greg Bradley's just locked the rear there, going around. That's going to cost a bundle of positions, and you can see there all of those cars in a big long train. This is throwing him well back, 17th. Slots in 17, 13 positions. That's cost. That is harsh.
Has he caught the curb on the outside? Yeah, he caught some sand, gassed it up, and that's what rotated it. Yeah. So nothing egregious off the back.
Avoid damage. Oh. It's done well to avoid damage, but that hurts in a 20-minute race, buddy.
It does. So now Gowans is up P1, still ahead of DeBono to Gallo to Bellac to Pocock. That has now promoted Mark Cochrane into the top 10, the leader of the amateurs at the moment. So he's just starting to lurk his way up further through the field. But Gowans, DeBono, Gallo and Bellac, these guys starting to build a nice little lead here over Pocock in the background. 1.6 seconds is the gap back to P5. So could be on here for a nice little tasty top 4 battle. But we do predict some teamwork, not shenanigans, but some teamwork, battling happening here from the Velocity boys. against Gallo and Ballack in behind.
Well, at the moment, DeBono is happy enough to sit there, and maybe he's the one that's going to fight Gallo off. But you know, not letting Doug get away either. So it'll be interesting to see if you know, Dylan races with his teammate as this continues on. Maybe if they do build up a gap. We've got a drive-through penalty for Will Ryan, contact with car number 5 on lap 3. So that was the incident with Darren Fahey that's seen him drop about 15 positions. So unfortunately for Ryan, it's going to cost him. Put it right at the back. Jace Douglas saying, Gowans, it's your race. I think, look, this is quite interesting. I mean, he took advantage early on, got that nice jump off the line, and now with his teammate maybe riding shotgun here, this could be a great chance for Doug to walk away with a win in race number 1.
Yeah,
Other person to have a look at is Daniel Byrne. I was going to say, buddy, P15 at the moment. He's up 8 spots, so steadily making his way through the field. Looking at that there, looks like he can at least see the next 4 or 5 cars. So that P10 position that he's chasing, it's still on the cards.
We'll go on board with him now as he comes out onto the back straight. Just to get an idea of, as he comes around through the final couple of corners. I tell you what, some of these corners are very, on the changeover from different cameras, they're very confusing. Like you think you're one place, but you're actually another. But down the main straight now to start like number 6.
Did you see the rear of that car step out before as we jumped on board? Like pushing hard here. But that's what I was sort of talking about too. You know, if you've got the confidence in the car, then you're feeling that grip where he's prepared to take that hard and send it out there, knowing that if it does start to slide, he can catch it. And already putting pressure on Tesuero here, and he's got that inside run. And will get the position done. So that's another one. He's up 9 spots now. 4 more to go for P10. Can he do it?
He's on an absolutely mega run at the moment. He's about 8/10 off the back of Hudson ahead of him here as they try to chase down Sinkovic and Cochrane. Cochrane has lost the top 10 position to Catagazino, who's now started to break away from him as well. So you can see P11, he's just up the road from him, and then it's a further 1.6 seconds ahead of Cochrane is the top 10. So with about 12 minutes to go.
And Will Ryan's going to pull out of this to do his drive-through.
He does,
and so that'll be another spot.
As you say that, he's just come in to commit to that drive-through, so this will be P13 for Byrne, and that'll make Cochrane P10. So it's going to make the run into the top 10 a little bit easier for him, and making it only 3 positions that he has to gain over the rest of this lap. Keegan Caldwell's had an incident in the background. Let's quickly check it out. What's happened to him here? He's running out the back of the field. He's come on through. Has he just rotated this and it's gone off track?
Yep.
Yeah, he has indeed.
Just lit it up.
So he had some little breakout moments recently. One thing I have noticed though, Keegan had the C-Class license, but over the changeover from Season 1 to Season 2 this week, Keegan's actually gone down a license, back down to Class D. So possibly still struggling with that safety rating and just unable to really get better.
Yeah, you got to get that safety rating up over 2 before the end of the season, or you lose a license. But at the moment, Catagasinos, he's sitting in P8. Also, he's behind Hodgkinson at the moment, who is leading the Pro-Ams in P7. So he's got about, 2.3 seconds there to catch up to Callum.
Well, Matty Gerard's just ahead of him as well in for P1.
That's right, yeah.
Dean Sinkovic has had a moment. This is now promoting Byrne up to P12. So what's he done? Oh, and there's been another crash as well in the background. We'll get the replay happening for that after this. But here's what happened to Sinker. Just spun it. Oh, very lucky not to take out Byrne.
Oh, that would not have been what the doctor ordered for Daniel Byrne if that had contact there. But very lucky to avoid that. Sometimes you need a bit of luck. Oh, moment. That's the other.
That was
Sinkovic.
Noble. That was Noble having the spin.
Noble, was it?
Yep.
Oh no. And contact there with one of the DFR cars. That's Darren Fahey. So what's happened here?
Oh, he sent it up the inside of Johnson.
Yeah, and Fahey had nowhere to go. So I think that was partly a bit of curb, maybe a bit of ambitious move. Not a lot of room there to get that done, and he ended up on the curb, and that just unsettled the car.
So this is our battle for P1 still. Gowan still leads the way halfway through proceedings as we currently stand. It's Gowans to De Bono, to Bellac, to Gallo, to Pocock. That's a 5. So Bellac's now gotten past Gallo, and he'll now try and put some pressure on Dylan De Bono, who is not going to be an easy customer to get past. I'll tell you that for free. And then he's also going to try and deal with Gowans up ahead of him too. So could be on for an interesting battle here towards the end of this race as we're at the halfway point. Just checking back on Daniel Byrne. He's now all over the back of Mark Cochran here for P11 of the race. Brad Hudson just up the road from them as well. He's going to get this done into turn 1, it seems. That was a nice little move.
Who was that coming out of the pits? That was Noble coming out of the pits.
Yeah.
So down a lap. So damage there, unfortunately, having used it up. I wonder how many fast repair these boys have got tonight.
I would think it's 1 per race, I would say. I think it's been, you get 1 per race, even in the regular sprint rounds. What is it for the supercars, Gary, whenever you have a regular sprint round?
Generally only 1, I believe.
Across both?
To be honest, yeah, across both, I believe. It may be that, you know, again, I don't think I've had to use it in both races, so I can't be 100% certain on that.
Yeah. I just confirm as well, unfortunately, Mitch Noble's night gets worse. He gets a drive-through penalty for the contact with car 61, I believe. I think his license points total was on 7 coming into this race, so he's going to have to be careful, or he might cop himself another round ban. So he's just going to need to be careful now, try and keep that thing as clean as possible, and just try and keep it as tight. If he's going to have an incident, try and have it on his own, and try not to get anyone else involved, because that could get him in the bad books once again this season.
Look, I mean, the license system is there. We're not, again, we're not accusing any drivers of sort of deliberate malice or things like that. But the license penalty's there to, you know, if you're going to push and try and race hard, you know, there's still a certain amount of responsibility on your driving, on you to maintain control, to attempt safe moves and stuff. So,
yeah,
you know, you might have fun battling with people there, but
exactly.
You know.
And I only bring it up just based on the fact that he has had the incident. He's been booked for a drive-through, so that's the only reason why I'm bringing it up, is because he needs to be careful now, because if he gets involved in any more incidents, it could look poorly on him to the stewards, and he may cop some more license penalties. So just needs to be cautious out there and nice and careful. We want everyone to have a nice, fun race as well, and a clean race. And that's all we're trying to promote at this stage as well.
Last thing we want is, you know, the same drivers causing incidents week after week, and you know, it may not be, you know, their fault, or, you know, again, you know, maybe just pushing themselves a little bit too hard. But, you know, one of the things that you got to learn is to, you know, drive at your limit as well, and battle the people that you can battle.
That's right. Tyler Sheep and Darren Fahey, they've had an incident. What have they done? Oh, it's a big lock-up from Sheafy.
And Fahey into the back. Are they stuck together? No.
No, they're not. Luckily for them. I want Fahey's view of this, so on board with him here. This is how it happened. So down into the end of the straight.
I think Sheep's just broken way earlier and fishied. I think Darren didn't expect him to break that early as well. But again, Sheepy was saying earlier that he pretty much hasn't done any practice here, so pretty much just driving off, you know, previous sort of muscle memory of being around this track. But look at that, Daniel Byrne, P11, Brad Hudson, P10 in front of him. I'm sure Hutto will be doing his best to try and hold off Daniel Byrne, but it is so close.
Oh, I mean, there's absolutely nothing in it. We know that Daniel is smart. He'll try and keep the pressure on Hutto, and he'll go for the move if it's available to him, but he won't force it. right? He's not just going to go for a little dive or a little lick of the stamp. He'll wait for the door to be open and he'll bash right through it. You know, he'll
yeah, Hutto won't give this up either, though.
No, he won't. He won't. Exactly right. So it could be on here for a nice little battle as we get into the final 5 minutes. So no safety cars in this race confirmed, being that we are 5 minutes to the end. But this is the battle for pole position of race number 2. It's Hudson versus Byrne. Who's going to get into the top 10? Who is going to finish just outside and weep? Well, not getting those rewards. It's going to be a nice battle here. The defending Formula 1 Shadow Series champion, Daniel Byrne. Next round of that will be happening in a couple of weeks' time. We'll make our way onto the back straight.
What track are they going to pick to mirror Melbourne?
I believe it's Phillip Island, which is actually the last round of the season. I believe that is the week of the Australian GP. Big lock-up, though, from Turner.
Yeah.
I'd have to check the calendar and just double check it.
Yeah, well, I suppose it does have Melbourne on a sign there, so that's close enough.
And Phillip Island did used to be a street track when it was first built, so you know maybe it's on the cards for them. They've already had Bathurst this season, so they can't really do that twice in a row for the F1 Shadow Series. So
after hearing about some of the stories of last week, I'm pretty sure the guys would be fairly happy. Though I suppose iRacing has fixed a few of those patches that were plaguing them.
Oh, but I mean the amount of stuff that happened at the Dipper was absolutely ridiculous. How many crashes happened, and it was not really anyone's fault. Oh, wants it up the inside. Heaps of room left though by Hutto. Lets him have it there. 3 minutes to the end, and currently Byrne sits P1 for pole position here for race number 2. So he'll have to try and hold off Hutto though if he wants to keep that. But we'll go back up the front. So yeah, like the incidents weren't even necessarily anyone's fault, Cowie. It was like the car would get underweighted through the Dipper and then just slip out on the bump, and then it would just cause havoc because everyone would be so close together. So you know,
I've driven these cars around Bathurst before, and the Dipper was always the scariest part for one of these cars. Well, the S8 was another one where, you know, the car just wanted to flick around on you, and it was so light that I was pretty much going through the Dipper with no input, you know, no brake, no throttle. Go through.
Well, it seems so sketchy that, you know, some of these people were being questioned by the police about it. Like, you know, they're just talking to a sketch artist. It was that sketchy. Like, there was just, you winced every time they'd come through. They're like, are they actually going to make it? Oh, are they not? Oh, that looks a little bit hairy. But some wild stuff happened, though as well. Andrew saying Sandown would be fun in these. Or Sandown could work as well for the Oz GP.
I've driven Sandown in these before, and it's quite a difficult track to pass on for these cars here. I mean, they can't use the curbs like a supercar can, and that really narrows the track up in places.
Yeah, where I think the benefit of, say, the SF24 for next season is it can actually handle the curbs a little bit better than these cars, because it has more downforce and stuff like that. So that's really a benefit of that. But the little front pack here, they've kind of just settled into their rhythms, haven't they, Cowie? You know, we're going to have a minute and 15 seconds to go this session. They will likely cross the line before the 20 minutes is up, so I'd say we're going to have one more lap. But could we start to see pushing here for positions to be gained?
I don't think De Bono's not going to attack his teammate. He's going to let Doug have this win now. I think that, you know, Dylan's he's driven shotgun for his teammate here in this race. You know, he hasn't attacked. He's positioned himself where he's been able to get the toe. And, you know, we've seen Gallo try there for a few laps to get a run on him. We're now seeing Bellac trying to get a run on De Bono. I think this will be white flag lap now. And, you know, he's been consistent just to let Dougie run up in front there. So I would not be surprised to hear that Dylan's run shotgun for him this race. But again, I mean, I don't think either of them are... I'll have to have a look at the championship ladder to see where Dougie is at the moment.
I know he's not in contention because he missed a heap. He missed about 2 or 3 rounds, so...
Okay.
Yeah.
Not in a contention for one of the minors, though, and Dylan helping him there. So certainly, these boys have talked about, you know, looking after each other and trying to maximise championship potential. But we see Dylan here is sort of starting to get up onto the back of Dougie. but I'd be very surprised if he makes a big move here as we come down the final section, of the racetrack.
So I'm just going to try and bring up the pro standings as they currently are. Dougie's in P10, Dylan's in P9, so neither of them are actually really in contention. They're about 300 odd points off the lead. In fact, Dylan's on 338, Dougie's on 339. So they come around the final corner, so it's not really going to make or break their championship, but it is going to limit Caleb Bellac's potential to gain any points on Daniel Byrne and David Gallo. It's a Velocity SimLabs P1-2 here for the F3s. Gowan's P1, DeBono P2. Ballack will come home P3 ahead of David Gallo in P4. Scott Pocock makes up the top 5. So Ballack will gain a couple of points on Gallo, but Gallo will still hold on to that P2 in the championship. But interestingly enough, Daniel Byrne has made it home P10. He'll start pole position for race number 2, and he's not losing too many points to Ballack or Gallo ahead of him on track.
Job 1 done for Mr. Byrne. He's done exactly what he needed to do for that first race. It was all about hitting P10. So good job there. Really positioned himself, to maximise his points. It was probably, unrealistic to say he could hit the top 5 starting from the back of this grid, especially because we had 28 cars on track. But P10, that's exactly what the doctor ordered for driver 808.
Well, mate, that's probably the best he could have done. In 20 minutes, it was an exceptional effort. And now look at this. We're going to have another 20 minutes, and he's going to be starting from the front of the grid. So, if you talk about how much time he gained over that race, well, how much time is he going to have over the cars behind him off the start line? Well, only time will tell as we'll get into race number 2, of course. But if you guys are new here, and or if you're not new here and you haven't done it already, please hit the like button, hit the subscribe button as well, and hit the bell icon so you are notified anytime we go racing across our 6 nights of racing of the week. Of course, this is our second night of the week that we go racing, Cowie. Last night was the first. It's the start of our round. It's always the Tuesday night Warner Brown Tools Supercars Series. And then we come here for Shannon's Formula 3 Nationals action. So what a way to start your racing week on the Tuesday, the night of the changeover for iRacing every week, is whenever we start our racing week. So we still got 4 races to go, 4 race series to go this week before our racing week is up. We've got the 8-6s tomorrow night, IMSA series on Friday, Sunday night Supercars Pro-Am, and then the Monday night Formula Vs. So much on offer for everyone at home to check out and to keep an eye on throughout the rest of this week.
Been some great racing already this week. I mean, yes, the Formula Vs do finish out the round, so it was round 6 for them. But again, we've seen some great racing across the board. Last night in the V8s, I had a blast, made a couple of mistakes, but these things happen. Still got out there, enjoying myself and racing hard. But the 60-minute race for us last night was all about tyres, sort of the end of those stints. These guys here, 20-minute races, these tyres, they're well within that window, and we saw the boys pushing hard there at the end of the race.
So obviously, Byrne starts P1 here, race 2. He's got some drivers around him who aren't really matching his pace. Of course, he's got really all Pro-Ams around him. He's got Turner, Hodgson, Catakazinos, and Gerard. It's then back in P6 we start to get the pros of Pocock, Gallo, Ballack, DeBono, Gowans. Can you really see anyone being able to challenge Daniel here early on in this race, or do you think maybe he's going to be able to break away early, get out of the tow range, and then no one's really going to be able to catch him?
Well, look, DeBono is quite good at carving his way through a field early. Perhaps he can drag the grandpa Doug Gowans with him, who'd be pretty stoked with a race win here in the F3s. Look, Scott Pocock, again, he's another one of those drivers that we've talked about a few times, and he's been in and amongst it. Perhaps it's his chance tonight. But Daniel Byrne in the box seat as race number 2. The lights go out.
I just noticed there as well, Hodgkinson, massive jump start off the line, so he will cop a drive-through penalty from iRacing for that one. But it's Byrne who leads them into turn 1 for the first time of the second race. And Hodgson might be up there, but he's going to have to travel through the lane thanks to iRacing for that. Kevin Wakefield's had an incident in the background. We'll get the views on that at the end of this lap. But Byrne leads them away. They look pretty neat and tidy as they come up towards the long left hand already. Ballack tries to send it up the inside early on, I believe it might have been Pocock ahead of him as they come down the back straight for the first time. Dougie Gowans.
Dougie Gowans.
Where
what
is
happened
he?
there?
He's off track.
Yep, right back to the back of the field. So the idea of him carving his way through the field back to the front, that's going to be a long call here. What's happened?
Ballack on him.
Oh, look, I don't think there was anything there. There's a tiny little tap and it maybe just unsettled the car. Dougie tried to get on the gas and then unfortunately had to turn it around and wait for the whole field to go through.
See David Gallo trying to carve his way up as well. Hodgkinson just ahead of him alongside Turner. We know that Hodgson will need to come in for that drive-through penalty for the jump start as he commits to now.
Yep.
But Daniel Byrne leads the way onto lap number 2. Ahead of Catacasinos, Gerard, Gallo, Turner, Bellac, Tabono, Pocock, Bradley and Hudson. Although we don't know what race control will say about the Bellac Gowans incident. We'll have to wait and see. Could be soft, could be not. It's all going to be up to race control. So maybe a little asterisk over P5 at the moment.
I don't think there was anything there. Maybe a bit of net curd again, or like just Dougie's car just got unsettled by the little contact, I think, and he just gave it a bit too much throttle. But already Daniel Byrne with a 1.2 second lead over Sam Catasinos, who'd be enjoying a run up the front here. Sam, he has been quite chatty in the chat of various series, so he does enjoy watching the racing here at SRW. Awesome to see him up the pointy and maximising, his run in race 1 for that reverse grid, put himself up the front here, and so far he's up a couple of spots running P2.
Love to see if he can take advantage of this and keep it there for the rest of this race. It would put him P4 on the start grid for race number 3. We'll just have to wait and see what can get off the back of this. Gallo's now up to P4, so he will currently, him and Bellac would lead the round at this stage, being that Gallo finished 1 position behind Bellac in race number 1. Wakefield's had another incident. This was his 2nd incident of the race so far. This is what happened to him. He's at the back of the field. You can see him, he's just pushing for that grip already. He's got Gowans in behind. Brings it round. Oh, just way too much pace through there. Very lucky not to collect Gowans. Just pulls it off the track to get out of the way of the other drivers. Very considerate there from Kevin in that incident there.
Yeah, look, it's unfortunate when it happens, but he had the premise to think about it and just loop the car around so the butt wasn't sticking out there. I was just having a look at the championship situation with the Pro AM and classes at the moment. So Adam Simpson, he had a great round last week, apparently, to take the podium and a class win at Bathurst. But Andrew Johnson, he's got that big lead. And Matty Gerard, well, he's running P3 at the moment, so he's having a good run. Going to be taking a good chunk of points out of Andrew Johnston. But Andrew, the 162-point lead going into this round, with a drop round still available to him, I believe. So I think he's all but sewn up the Pro-Am class. But as far as the AMs go, though, it is Mark Cochran. He's got 29 points over Rosanita. And at the moment, he's sitting, P12. And Rosanita's P19 at the moment. So far, it looks like Cochran's going to be taking a few extra points out of it. I didn't see how he finished race number 1, actually.
He was P12. Hudson was P11. So actually, no, he's P13 because he's up 1 spot from where he started. So he's P13 where he finished the last race. So
Rosanita is up 4, so he was 23. Yeah. So he's already extended that lead over Callum in race number 1, and so far race number 2. Well, he's got another good chunk of points between him and between Mark Cochran and Callum Rosanita.
So the Year 12 English teacher trying to teach these drivers a lesson in the amateur class of running away with this championship. For the amateurs, it's Cochran in P1, Tessiero P2, Schmalenberg P3 for them, but they are spread out quite a little bit over the road. This is how they currently line up in their classes. Byrne, Gallo, Bellac is the top 3 for the pros. Catacasinos, Gerard and Turner is the top 3 for the primes, and the amateurs we mentioned, Cochran, Tessiero and Schmalenberg at this stage in time. I'll tell you what though, Byrne has got the jets on at the moment. 2 seconds is just about the gap here between himself and Catakazinos in P2. He sets the fastest lap of the race last time by 1:22.311. So he's absolutely cooking up the front of this field. Dean Sinkovich has had an incident, Cowie. Let's see what he's done here, if it'll actually show for our viewers at home.
The big boys have been out there involved in a couple of moments in race number 1.
Well, it was only
just
him.
carried a little bit too much speed again there. Very easy to do.
Well,
and it's quite a dangerous spot too, because we see there, you know, because of the camber, the nature of that corner, you think it can carry more speed into there. And I think it's just catching a few of the drivers out at the moment.
Of course, namely, no Steven Sinkovich here tonight, still having internet issues. So we hope to see him out on track again, possibly tomorrow night for the 8.6s. We'll have to wait and see how that's going to work out for him. Let's head back, though, to this little battle between Gerard, Catakazinos, Gallo, and Bellac, with De Bono lurking in the background of this one as well.
Good battle. Again, I think these are Velocity teammates are they, as well.
Yeah, it's Gallo and Bellac versus 3 Velocity drivers at the moment, because De Bono's on the back of this little train, and Catakazinos and Gerard are leading it at the moment, and Pocock's in the background as well. So they're all just starting to etch up on each other and start to put some pressure on each other as well.
I think the Velocity SimLab boys have been multiplying and breeding, because we've got a couple more names in their lineup, and I'm sure that they're welcomed in with open arms. I know we tried to poach Dylan a few seasons back, but he loves racing with these boys. So
we'll have to wait and see how he goes here tonight. Speaking of Velocity SimLab, Sheafy up 5 spots at the moment, but he is struggling on re-debut back into the series, so just trying to find that pace back again. Gallo wants it up the inside of Gerard, though, further up, gets the move done, and now he's got a buffer between him and Bellac, putting him in the lead for the round win here tonight. But Bellac wants it on Gerard in the background. De Bono's got the front row seat at the moment. We'll go on board with him here as he starts to attack the back of Caleb Bellac as they come up into the final section of this lovely Okayama circuit.
It's one of those places where you come in there, those corners, the car wants to unload as you come up over the crest. Here again, you really want to maximise your run down the straight here, but the car wants to step out as you get on the gas. You know, this first section here is a little bit like Sebring. There's a couple of different lines you can take through here, but again, it's all about being able to get over to the right for this section, because once you go through here, it's pretty much flat chat. Until we get to that big right-hander and then the run down the back straight. So it's almost like, you know, 2 straights separated by 1 big corner.
So you can see De Bono putting all sorts of pressure on the back of Bellac. Stephanie Collins saying almost have to baby it through there. You got to be so careful. Just trying to keep the grip on. Bellac covers the inside line. Big send on the outside, though, from De Bono. They're going to go too wide at the end of the straight.
It can't work because you get the inside for this corner, so you know, defending up the inside does put you on the outside for this sort of section here, and then you're talking 3 right-handers in a row, left-handers in a row. So you know, De Bono getting a good chance to get this job done. You can see that Caleb's able to keep him there the whole time.
And they've been just getting the elbows out, wrestling through those couple of corners. I saw a little knock between De Bono and Bellac. It was just the slightest touch, but it was, you know, just kind of wrestling to be like, oi, I'm here still, don't move over. Oh, that was a big moment in the background there. I think that was Kevin Wakefield possibly, or maybe Will Ryan.
I think Will Ryan was given instructions by race control. His peak's really high at the moment, and was told to sort of come into the pits, so I don't know if he's had an issue there. Looks like we've lost Keegan Caldwell from the session as well, so I don't know what has happened there.
I believe he's had a couple of incidents possibly, and that's why. But back to this battle though, Bellac and De Bono. So Bellac getting into this battle is actually letting Gerard and Gallo run away from him. And this is now on the extending Gallo's round lead for this round's win. He wanted to cover the inside. De Bono doesn't know where he wants to go. He kind of just held it in the middle of the track. So they come on into this little section now. So it could be not too close to this battle just intensifying a little bit more with 9 minutes to go in race number 2.
It's not a bad tempter there from Caleb, because he sort of stuck to mid-track and he sort of said to DeBono, okay, look, if you want to go up the inside you can, but it's going to be really narrow and you're going to find it hard to carry speed. And if you do that, then I can move wide. If you go around the outside, then I've left myself enough room to carry a bit more speed through the apex as well. So I think that was a pretty smart sort of approach to that corner when you've got a car in the tow. You're not closing the door completely, but you're letting the guy behind know that, you're thinking about it, and I'll give you room, but it doesn't have to be much.
So it's off the back of Bellac's car now to Gerard. I know we meant, to DeBono, sorry. We still have an opportunity though, Cowie, to ask Caleb if Bellac's actually his real name after we made the discovery that Caleb and Bellac is the same word, but one of them is just back to front. So we have to confirm that.
His whole name together is a palindrome where you can spell it backwards and forwards.
Yeah. So we need to ask him that question if he makes it onto the round podium here tonight. But he's still under pressure here from DeBono as they come up into the infield section. They've just kind of settled down a little bit now. Maybe DeBono just settling the car a little bit and then willing to put some pressure on towards the end of the race.
Well, we've still got some time. We're inside the last 8 minutes, so my prediction of 2 safety cars is starting to look a little bit bleak, because I thought there might have had to be one in this race for us to get 2 for the night. But so far, these boys are showing that they like this place. They're quite fast around here and quite controlled. You've seen, the few times that we've seen moments, it's been at spots where the guys know that they're trouble areas, and you can see them almost quickly getting out of the way to prevent any further carnage.
Maybe Bellac's thought process here is, instead of trying to catch up to Gerard, he wants to hold P5 to get that pole position for race 3 and just try and run away. Maybe that's the process here. Maybe that's the plan.
Well, I don't think so, because he's been defending this pretty hard from DeBono. The problem is, when you go into that defensive mode, it does sort of mean that the car in front gets the chance to skip away. And again, Gallo trying to go big around the outside here. If he can keep the run on, he can't. But maybe there's starting to be a few marbles that are appearing outside on that corner too, because it is one thing that really affected me. I think, was it at Sonoma? When I tried to go wide, I just ended up on the marbles. Oh, some tight running there. And Gallo it was Gallo trying his hardest on Catasinos. Oh, a little bit of sweepy rear end there from Gerard. And that's going to give Bellac a chance to maybe close on him as they go down the front straight. 6 minutes to go, but it's still anyone's game if we discount Daniel Byrne. 2.7 seconds ahead at the moment.
Yeah, it's looking like it's going to be a runaway effort for him here tonight, but it's on for young and old for those final podium positions and possibly even pole position for race number 3. You can see Gerard, Bellac and DeBono in an intensifying battle as they come up here into what is known as turn 4. Bellac wanted it around the outside. This is going to give DeBono the opportunity, though, to get up onto the top 5. And that is smart play from the Velocity SimLabs team there. Gerard held him up, allowed DeBono onto the top 5 and pole position for race number 3. But Bellac sends it up the inside. Oh, that is
see them slowing it up there, DeBono trying to get his teammate back in. Like, this is crazy. Caleb's made contact a couple of times there, so that might hurt this car of his as well. But he had a big, massive moment there, stepping out onto that back straight, and that's what cost him and gave DeBono the chance to get through. So yeah, good bit of team driving there, and I think Gerard creating an opportunity for DeBono there, and then DeBono returning the favour by just closing the door on Bellac when there was a chance he could get back at him.
Stephanie Bacoli saying that could have ended very badly. Yeah, I was expecting it to. I'm not going to lie. The big lunge. So lucky to pull it off. But this is now giving DeBono the opportunity just to pull away a little bit here from Bellac. It's now also gapping Gallo from Bellac by 2 positions. So giving him even more of an advantage here in this round, sort of the overall round results scenario. But look at this, Pocock wants it on Ballack as well.
Yeah. That's what I was going to say. Pocock and Bradley are right there now, putting the pressure on Ballack. And I would not be surprised if he's got a little bit of front wing damage after that contact there. And so we'll just have to keep an eye on it and see how the car handles. That's a rear wing missing for Andrew Johnston. Oh, sorry, Greg Johnston, apologies.
Yeah, it is. He's had a
what's
moment.
happened there?
He's already missing it, so it's happened earlier. Has it happened here? Yeah, it would be here. Turn 1, got Gowans on the outside.
Oh, he's just lost the rear and he's tried to hold it, and unfortunately, Dougie had nowhere to go, really. So that's going to hurt big time, but at the moment it's still Kataxinos. He's done a great job here of holding off Gallo and really showing some racing chops out there. As I said it before, you know, the difference between pros and pro-ams, at some tracks it's very negligible because every one of us has got, you know, that favourite track or a track that just suits our driving style, and we're quicker than we should be. And I think, you know, Sam has put himself in a great spot. Race number 1 got up inside the top 10. He's near the front of the grid for race number 2. And so far, he's holding his own against Gallo, who can't find a way past.
That's exactly right. So how it would currently stand for race number 3. Gerard would be in pole position. DeBono P2. Gallo would stay where he is. Katagizinos would go P4. Byrne will start P5 ahead of Caleb Ballack. So it's, yeah, no, we're going to fix it, Steve. Don't worry. Don't worry. I mentioned it earlier, mate. I noticed it when I went to the first replay tonight. So it's on my list to fix it now. It's all good. But Byrne, though, leads the way. Dominating performance so far.
Only 2 laps to go. I would think he's got to keep together, but at the moment he's sort of probably taking a little bit of the risk out of his driving now as we see that gap's come down from about 2.7s down to about 2 seconds now. But Katagizinos, he's driving for his life at the moment, trying to hold off Gallo. And DeBono, well, he's starting to close up onto the back of them, so 2 laps to go. DeBono could be, you know, a dark horse for a podium in this race as well.
He definitely could be. He would also be a dark horse for possibly top 3 of the actual round results now that Gowans is towards the back of the field. So currently for the round, it's Gallo leading Ballack, leading Dylan DeBono, I believe, if my maths is correct, being that Dougie Gowans is down in P19 at the moment. Although if Daniel Byrne could get 2 wins here tonight, that could actually also bring him up the order a little bit as well, seeing as Ballack is starting behind him in race number 3.
Remember, you know, who I may be called as a dark horse for the race round win, sorry, not the race win, David Gallo. Well, he's positioned himself in the perfect spot at the moment. You know, he's taken some points out of his teammate, race number 1. Now it's all about trying to minimise that point differential. If he can get this spot of Katagizinos, then that is down to, what, 4 points for the super sprint. But again, you know, he will be near the front for race number 3 as well.
This was Mark Turner having an incident. Oh, he's just gone off track. Oh, brought it back
right
on.
into the pub. And is that Andrew Johnson, I think, was it?
Yeah, it
might
was.
have been
It was
the
Andrew Johnson, yeah.
So that might be telling as far as the pro-ams go.
Yeah, it would be, because now it's gonna keep Matthew Gerard P1 in the pro-ams at the moment. Look at the gap that he's already built over Ballack, who's having to kind of, you know, he's pushed so hard. Those tyres are fairly cooked here. Final lap of the race, though. Byrne leads the way. Yeah, that's a tough one, but Cochrane P11 at this stage. Katagizinos P1 for the Pro-Ams, Gerard P2, Hudson P3, and Andrew Johnson has now dropped down the order after that incident. Steve Sinkovich saying, can't wait for the new Superlights. Oh, the SF24s are going to be so nice to check out on track for the first time. They'll be coming in our F1 Shadow Series round in between season 1 and 2. 1 and 2 will be the first time that they will be on track. So round number 9 of this season will be the final time, the time we wave goodbye to the F3s But as we come around the final corner, it's Daniel Byrne, P1 for race number 2. He did everything he needed to in race 1 to set this up, and then just really maximised on starting in pole for race 2. He comes home out of P1 ahead of Sam Catagazinos in P2, David Gallo in P3, Dylan DeBono in P4. Matty Gerard will come home in P5, and he will start pole position for race number 3 here tonight. Caleb Ballack will come home in P6. He's going to have a tough run trying to get past Byrne. Catagazinos, who we saw was a bit of a wall there on Gallo for the majority of the running. Gallo as well, DeBono and Gerard if he wants to hope to take a win here tonight.
Oh, I think he looked at that front wing does look damaged there, and I think that sort of affected his pace there at the end of the race. Ended up finishing about 3 seconds behind Gerard, I think. So, you know, Caleb would be looking for a nice little fix of his car for race number 3. So I would not put him out of the hunt, because he's been, you know, right in the thick of it. And again, every time we sort of look to these guys, we can see the same 3 or 4 drivers that is battling hard and battling close. And it's great to watch.
So we can see the damage actually. I didn't notice it before on the front wing of Ballack's car. That'll be off the back of the massive lunge that he took down at the end of the back straight, and then kind of put it in between himself, Gerard and DeBono. And I think that's what's caused that damage from occurring. So that was possibly the reason why he was off pace there in the end of race 2.
For sure, buddy. I mean, you know, again, he got boxed in a little bit. I don't know if it was his fault, but again, you know, he was, you know, trying to push the issue there and get it back after DeBono got around him. But again, we see that Velocity SimLab boys certainly, you know, willing to sort of work together and try and block the track there. And when it comes down to it in the end, if you run into the back of the car in front of you, you can't really complain that they were going too slow.
No, that's right. But what we have got is a little warm-up session now. Time for everyone to just take a breath, go get yourselves a drink, go get yourselves an ice cream. That's basically directed at Ryan Price. I do know he loves a nice little ice cream on race night. He got one last night in our little break that we had. Or even just cool off if it's hot wherever you're living. But Cowie, massive running so far already here tonight. You know, 2 races, almost completely different outcomes. Obviously, Gowans, who we thought was going to be strong race 2, gets taken out early and then forcibly dropped down the order and then has to try and, you know, just come back. And he wasn't able to come back.
Yeah,
he got up as far as P19, but he wasn't really able to take advantage.
Yeah, no safety cars so far tonight to bunch things back up. But we have seen action, and we've seen, you know, several moments. There's been a couple of corners that have been the same culprit for a few drivers out there tonight. So it just goes to show you, you know, the I suppose the difficulty in getting it right in these cars lap after lap, because, you know, you can, you know, you nail a corner and you're like, wow, I've never been through the corner that fast before, and then the next time you try to replicate it and you get it slightly wrong and the car loops around on you, and then the next time you come to that corner, well, then you're driving on ice because you're not sure what's going to happen.
Yeah, it's and one thing that I noticed as well, I reckon, because I saw Caleb was also struggling under those tyres at the end. I think him pushing so hard also burnt those tyres out a little bit, got him a little bit over temp, and that's and I think that also kind of hindered him towards the end there. So maybe we see some drivers take a little bit more conservatively over the first 10 minutes and then start to push in the final half of the race possibly here tonight as well. But we're going to have 6 or 7 really quite quick drivers up the front here tonight in the final race. It's going to be on, you know, hell for leather out there, because everything is going to be on offer for them pretty much in this last race tonight. Just got an update from Race Control as well. For the unsafe rejoin car, 066 has been given a pit lane start. So that's Mark Turner, who we saw have the unsafe rejoin ahead of Andrew Johnson and took him out of proceedings for race number 2. So he will, unfortunately for him, be starting out of the pit lane for race 3.
It's going to be interesting. As we talked about for the Pro-Am Championship, Andrew Johnson had like 62 point lead, I think it is, over the field. But there's a few of those points that have gone awry on him tonight. So I think he'd be looking for, you know, a decent race number 3 here, or this very well could be his drop round accounted for. You know, in the pros, well, Gallows, you know, he took some points out of the Burn for race number 1. He's given a couple of points back, but still in a good position. His teammate will be behind him for race number 3. Caleb Bellac, well, he would have been hoping to take a few more points out of those boys, but regardless of his championship, he's been right in the thick of it, and unfortunately maybe got double teamed by the Velocity SimLab boys there in race number 2.
So Cowie, coming into the third race, obviously we're going to have the likes of Byrne, Bellac, DeBono, Gerard's going to be up there, Gallo's going to be up there, Catagazinos. Who do you predict could be the one here to break through and take out the race win of race number 3?
Well, look, I don't think Gallo's going to go for it. I think he's, again, he's in good points. I don't know if Daniel and David are real rivals as far as the championship goes at the moment. I would say that those boys will, probably work together if they end up together on the track. And if Daniel's faster than Dave, then Dave will let him through. So it's probably a bit too early, even though it is round 7. We'll probably see in the final round those guys, maybe if they're within 100 of each other, will make it a full-on battle. As far as the AMs go, Mark Cockermore, he's the one walking away with all the points tonight against his rivals. We saw what happened to Rosanita there, and he's been well back in the field. Tessio Aero also, he hasn't had a great race night tonight. We haven't really seen much of him on camera. So those boys need to take some points out of Mark in this last race if they're to, stay in the hunt for the championship.
So this is how they will line up, ladies and gentlemen, for race number 3. It's a reverse top 5 of how they finished in race 1. It'll be Matty Gerard starting out of P1 ahead of Dylan DeBono. Velocity SimLab's front row lockout happens once again for the second time here tonight. It'll then be David Gallo starting out of P3 ahead of Sam Catagazinos in P4, with Daniel Byrne after the win in race 2 will start at a P5 here tonight, alongside Caleb Bellac at a P6. And Scott Pocock and Greg Bradley making up the 4th row of the grid, back to Brad Hudson and Chris Swadling making up the 5th row and the top 10. Mark Cochran will start alongside Matt Tessiero in P11 and 12 here tonight, ahead of Nick Schmalenberg and Matt Neal at a P13 and P14. It's then Mitch Noble and Dougie Gowans in the background behind them, with Callum Rossiter and Callan Hodgkinson. The Callum and Callan duo of P17 and 18 line up alongside each other. Will Ryan and Tyler Sheaf will then make up our top 20 ahead of Andrew Johnston and Dean Sinkovich, with Greg Johnston and Kevin Wakefield starting in behind them. We then move back to Mark Turner and Darren Fahey in behind them, with Keegan Caldwell making up the rear of the grid, and Adam Simpson out of P29, although he's not made the start here tonight just yet, although I don't know if Keegan will make the start here for race number 3 either.
And Mark Turner has a pit lane start as well, remember correctly too.
Yes, he does.
Yeah, so that will change things a little bit at the back here, but it's up front where it's been the Velocity SimLab boys. Race number 1, it has been Callum's Racing for race number 2. Those two teams, well, they've got 2 cars each in the top 5. So
3 cars for Velocity in the top
3
5.
cars for Velocity versus the 2 of Carlin's Motorsports.
Yes.
So 3 versus 2. Will that maybe change the way things play out here at the start of this race?
Quite possibly, but lights are up. The questions will be answered for us here in the final race of the night. It's going to be Gerard DeBono leading them away off the start line. It was an absolute ripper start, though, from David Gallo off the start. An absolutely horrid one from Matty Gerard, who drops it down the order as they come into turn 1 for the first time. They're looking nice and pacey already. Daniel Byrne losing a couple of spots. Ballack wants it up the inside already, and he already looks to move into P3 of this race in behind the man who leads the round at the moment, David Gallo, who's in P2. But Catagazinos, we called him a bit of a cork in the neck of the bottle in race 1. He does not want to let Bellac have this for free, and we'll be taking this on for quids the whole night, I reckon, if he can try and stay with him.
Bellac looks like he's got the job done there. Bradley and Byrne also in that. So Byrne maybe got caught out by his teammate, Matty Gerard. That has cost Matty a chunk of positions. Back in P10, now up to P9, so starting to rectify the damage of that shocking start.
So Gallo leads the way after he finished P3 in race number 2 tonight. Hoping to try and get himself a good chunk of points here and really take out this round win. Bellac wants it up the inside of Tabono, so... but Tabono just turned it out right at the last second there.
I think, has Tabono made contact with his teammate there? Or he's driving that car like it's got a bit of damage on it.
I'm not quite sure, but Hodgkinson and Johnston have had an incident in the background. This is what's happened to them. What have they done here? Oh, it's up at the real difficult corner. We saw Hodgkinson, he had the jump start in race two, had to traverse through the lane. As they come up here, he's in behind Gowans. Oh, and just got driven straight through by Johnston. Lucky not to collect the rest of the field, though, off the back of that one. And Matt Neal was also involved in an incident a little bit earlier in the lap. Oh, that's a massive one. I think Pocock was involved too. That's big.
Yep. I think one of the things too that you find is, I think with that other one with Callan there before, if you tap the car in front, it can lift your front. The car dips, I think, and you lose the rear. I've seen it happen plenty of times. I've seen it in the Formula V's as well. With sort of the tapping the car in front just unsettles your car to the point that you lose control.
And we've actually got a
and
safety
I think
car.
We've got a safety car. Yeah, there's one.
So I could be on here tonight for a nice little prediction win, possibly. Although it has happened very early in this race.
It's early enough that it could breed another safety car, so I'm not out of it just yet.
No, that is right. You could still have a go of it here, but you're only going to have about... Oh, and that's why it was Hodgkinson who was parked up, unable to move the car. And that is what has led us to get now first safety car across all 3 races so far. One of the 5 that Steph predicted across the night. Yeah, I think it might have been a little bit overzealous there, Steph, on that prediction, I must say. But that also comes with learning. But we will be getting into safety car period for the first time here tonight. Will it be the only time we see the beautiful Mercedes AMG GT4 car out there driven by Greg Barber at the moment? So Leakey has had the keys taken off him this week. It's been given to Barbs.
You did say he managed to crash it on the way up the hill, blew up the motor, didn't he?
Well, he didn't crash. He just blew it up just by driving the thing. He had it in too low of a gear and was running too high a revs, and it just went. So, but it is in the hands of tamed safety car driver Greg Barber, who will lead them away off the restart. It's Gallo to Bellac to Catacasinos to DeBono to Bradley. That's the 5. Byrne, Swadling, Hudson, Gerard, Ryan make up the 10. Cochrane, Tesuero, Gowans, Noble and Fahey is the 15 as it currently stands here tonight. So it's still going to be a 1v1 here for the round win here tonight, Cowie. But Bellac is going to have to beat Gallo by, I would say, 3 positions if he wants to win this thing over Gallo, since David managed to finish in P3 of the last race and Bellac was back in P6.
Well, you see, it was my call at the start of the night, and now that he's got through to P1, well, he's going to be focusing on just trying to check out. He'd love to get a Catacasinos to put some pressure on Bellac early on. But, again, the other advantage for Daniel Byrne, sitting in P6 at the moment, is he will know when his teammate's going to go. So I would not be surprised to see Daniel get a good jump on this restart.
And this kind of makes me think, Cowie, obviously with the Super Sprint format we run, it's a continuous grid, but it's reverse top 10 and then reverse top 5 across the second and third race. How would you think about a format where there's actually no points for the first 2 races, but it's maximum points for the final race? So it's like the first 2 are setting the grid for that final run.
I don't know, because then you've got everyone racing for P10 in race number 1, aren't they? You wouldn't be trying to race P1 because that'd put you P10. So the first race would almost end up being a procession, I reckon. Or you'd see, maybe even more team tactics along those lines. I get it what you're talking at, but I think, we see it on the sprint rounds where the second race being a feature is worth a few more points. Then it might be one where you sacrifice race number 1 to maximise race number 2. But, when all of the points are the same for the 3 races, then it's just about, you know, maximising your position, and perhaps, you know, if you're going to throw away one of your races or play a strategic game, it'd be race number 1, but race number 2 and 3, you've just got to be quick to be inside the top 5. There's no mucking around when you get inside the top 5 of these races.
Well, Steph said then maybe half points for race 1 and 2, then double points for race 3, possibly. Or maybe full points for race 3, half points for the first 2 races could work out as well.
I'm not so sure about that. I like this format. I mean,
yeah.
I like the fact that we race a few different formats. You know, sprint rounds and the normal rounds, the enduro at the end of the season, you know, and then you mix it up with the super sprint in the season as well. So, you know, I think these formats, they reward the consistent drivers for as far as the championship goes, but as far as an individual race goes, well, you know, it's always good to be able to say that you're a race winner in the Shannon's Formula 3 Nationals.
Yeah, exactly. One thing I've just noticed as well, Mark Turner has actually not started the race. So off the back of his pit lane start, he actually didn't even start proceedings here tonight. So, but it's going to be Gallo who's going to lead them away here off the restart. He's holding them all up all the way to the line, but he has now gone. And will lead them away down towards turn 1. Lap number 5. Sorry, what was that?
I was going to say Byrne was up alongside was it Bradley there, so, you know, I was going to say that's where he's looking to take that opportunity, but I think Bradley read it pretty well and managed to, you know, close that down. So I think Byrne was just about ready to hold the outside and maybe have a run at it at T2.
So they come round to turn number 4. Oh, Ballack wants this.
He's got a great run out of there, and now holding the inside. We've seen here before that you can go around the outside, so you could see there Gallo just trying to make sure that Caleb was really, really narrow. Caleb's done a great job there to get ahead of him.
Ballack just slots it in behind, so he wants to play the smart game, not push it too early. Just try and hang with him here for the last 12 minutes. But he knows that he's got the round win. That's the thing. So he knows that all he has to do is just sit one position behind Ballack and he's got the round win in hand. So
I know he fought that pretty hard there, buddy. He didn't look like someone who was prepared to take P2. I'd say that he's, you know what, he had a P3. What do you have in race number 1?
It was
so
a
he definitely looked for that P1 tonight.
I want to say. P5 or 6 in race 1. So, but Ballack sets the fast lap of the race, 1:23.2 the last time by. Gallo wasn't too far off the lap though. Actually, no, he was. I do apologise. He was about 9/10 off. So he actually lost quite a fair bit of time when Ballack made the move on him. But we come on down up towards, I call it turn 4, but it's actually more like turn 5 or 6 because of the little windy bits through there. But we got De Bono putting all sorts of pressure on Gallo here. He cannot give anything up as he hopes to win the round.
Nicholas Schmalenberg given a black flag for contact with car 53 lap 1, so unfortunately, oh look at this big dive from Bradley up the inside of Schmalenberg. Oh no, Casinos I should say. That is a great move because Sam did not give him much room there at all, and Bradley was able to get the car stopped and turned in there on a dime. Nice move.
You had Schmalenberg on the brain, didn't you? Oh, but that now gives us a new leader for the Pro-Ams, that being Greg Bradley. Swadling currently sits P3 in class, back in P7 off the back of this battle. He's got Hudson working in the background of him at this current moment in time. We'll bring up our intervals for you, ladies and gentlemen, so we can track how close the battles are at this stage. And, well, Ballack's just starting to run away from Gallo at the moment, but again, Gallo, P3, he's lost the position to De Bono up ahead, but he's still in the lead of the round, so he cannot allow Bradley or Casinos past him if he wants to win the round here tonight.
Yeah, I think just De Bono and Ballack putting a bit of pressure on David, and it may well be that, you know, he's aware of the situation he's in. It's good points over his teammate at the moment. I think that's probably why he fought early on against Caleb, but we could see Dylan there was just setting him up, and now that he's got past, we'll see. You know, Gallo will be looking to see if those boys start fighting each other and maybe give him a chance to sneak back through.
We can see Swadling and Hudson, these guys battling it out for P3 in the Pro-Am class. In the background, we've got Cochrane and Tesuero. These guys following Darren Fahey at the moment. Dean Sinkovich has had a big crash, though, at the end of the straight. So he's had a bit of a spin and gone off the track. Lucky not hit the wall or hit another driver there. He will continue on, but he will now go a bit further back down the order. In his return season, he's been doing pretty well, pretty consistent, but has just had some poor runs that has let it get away from him compared to Cochrane.
I think it's just been, you know, one or two times a night it pushes a little bit too hard in one of those corners, and you know, not catching the rear when you get that first little hint. Stephen's got no excuses anymore. You know, he's got a direct drive. But, you know, again, yeah, look, these are a tricky car when you're driving at the edge, you know, of your limit of grip.
So we can see Bellac has just started to build the gap a little bit here. De Bono's in behind him. It's been their last couple of laps. The pace that they've been running, obviously lap 3, lap 4 with a safety car runs, but 5, 6 and 7. He was slightly slower than De Bono on lap 5 and lap 6. But he did gain some pace over that last lap across the line.
Again, it's one of those things. He's finding that he's having to fight off Bradley and Katagasinos and Byrne back there. And, you know, once you're starting to worry about looking in your mirrors, you know, you're starting to position the car to drive, you know, a little bit more defensively, maybe block off the run. And that means you're not maximising your own speed. And you can see already that De Bono, you know, after what, a lap and a bit, he's now got a 1.1 second gap ahead of, 1.3 seconds to Gallo to De Bono. And Bellac, well, you know, he took advantage while they were battling that previous lap to extend his lead out to about a second. But De Bono is starting to close that in.
So we saw the kind of battling that they were having in the last race. It looks to be that they could be continuing that run on. Schmalenberg's come in the pits. Sinkovich has had another incident, but he's managed to keep it off the wall once again. So Dean doing a good job here just to try and mitigate those incidents and try and keep them under control. But it is this battle that we're focusing on, Gallo versus Bradley. If he goes one position back, he'll be equal on points with Bellac for the round. If he goes another one back, he will be P2 for the round as they sit. So he needs to be cautious here and needs to try and hold out this final podium position.
Also, Stephanie in the chat there talking about the silent assassin, Mr. Consistent Mark Cochrane, currently sitting P12 at the moment, leading the AM class. And he's got, you know, Tesuero and Noble right behind him there. So certainly in the thick of a battle still. So he may have been silent and deadly so far tonight, Stephanie, but he's still got another 6 minutes to make sure he can finish the job tonight.
Well, it's not just that, he's been ultra consistent and he's finished around about P11 to P13 in all 3 races, Cow. He hasn't really gained, but he hasn't really lost anything either. So it's been a consistent run of points for Mr. Cochrane.
I did give Matt Tesuero a bit of a bump steer in my previous mention of him too. Like, I thought he had a pretty ordinary race so far tonight, but he actually finished P12 in the last race, so a bit better than I thought. And, you know, you can see here he was right behind Cochrane in race number 2 and in the same spot race number 3. So, you know, these boys here, it's pretty close as far as the EM Championships go. And Tesuero's 42 points back from Cochrane, so he would dearly love to get in front of him here and maybe see if he can grab a position or 2 more and bridge that gap.
And also, I know he loves us to do this. If there are any of Mr. Cochrane's students watching out there, I hope you've got your homework done before you started watching here tonight. If you haven't, then get onto those assignments that he's put out to you. You know, Year 12's nothing to sniff at. And I'm sure that that Mark gives him the toughest of assignments for Year 12 English. But he's doing well, though, and he's taken on this assignment of trying to win this championship and win another race here in the amateurs. And he's set himself up to succeed once again, so it's good to see.
Yeah, no, having a good race at the moment, and he's certainly keeping Cochrane honest at the moment, pushing hard and, you know, trying to sort of be a bit of a pest in the mirrors here. So, He's starting to run out of time. We're coming down to almost 4 minutes of this race remaining. It's hard to believe that this is race number 3 tonight, buddy. It's gone so fast.
Well, mate, 15 minutes in, that means that your prediction is no longer possible. You can have
Correct.
no more
Looks like
safety
you
cars.
have won the safety car award for tonight.
What does that mean?
Good call,
What do I win for that, Cowie? Is it that if I come and see
check.
you live, do you buy me a beer or what?
Well, you can have a badge or a chest to pin it on. No. No, yeah, certainly, buddy. If you manage to make it up here to sunny Queensland and to one of my gigs, I'm sure I can shout you a beer.
Oh, very good. I'm sure I owe you a couple for your predictions anyway, so it'll be a fair spread. But Bellac leads the way to Bono, Gallo in behind, but he is sitting P2 in the round results at this stage. He's only got 3 minutes, 20 seconds to get it home and to get his 4th win of the season, the most of any drivers so far this season. Can you believe that, Cowie? So the most wins this season out of anyone, but he's still not leading the championship. Like, it's absolutely crazy that can happen.
That's that consistency we talk about, but I mean, it's one of the things. This has been the first open season we've had for the F3s for a little bit, because it has been a bit of the Phil Vella, Michael Cutterjar show for, about the past year and a half, where those two were constantly battling each other at the front. Both of those names missing from the series this time. Again, as you said before, there was, we're missing a second DFR car tonight with Jay Dixon not being here, and he's definitely been a contender up the front. So, the boys sort of sharing the spoils a bit more this season, but, Byrne and Gallo will show you that it's all about consistency. It's not just about the race wins.
Well, what this will mean is as well is Gallo and Bellac, Gallo's 31 points off the back of Byrne coming into tonight's round. Bellac was 36 points off the back of him. So they haven't necessarily gained enough on Byrne to lead the championship ahead of him, but it has tightened the gap a little bit coming into the final 2 rounds. So we're going to be in for some intense final couple of rounds here coming up for the rest of this season. Of course, there'll only be 2 left after tonight's running. We've got 2 minutes left. It'll be 1 lap when they cross the line this time by, possibly even 2 laps actually. The lap times they're getting a 1:22, so I reckon it could be 2 laps left here, Cowie, until checkered flag.
Yeah, I can't. No, Barney not waving the flag, so 2 laps to go. The other person to talk about at the moment is Andrew Johnson, sitting back in P22. He's been given a black flag before contact for car 028 and missing a front wing here, so he's just trying to get this night done and dusted as much as he can. But he had a big lead over the Pro-Am class, but tonight it hasn't been his night, so hopefully he's got a drop round available. Oh, that's unfortunate there.
Oh, that's a big stack. And you'd
I
have to say, if this wasn't a 20-minute race, that would have been a safety car. So
it would have been my second safety car. But no, it looks like they've both still got going though.
Yeah, that's true.
I see De Bono now trying to step it up the rear of that car, dancing through this sort of final section of Okayama circuit here. It is a great circuit, this one. It does give up some great racing. We've seen that corner there prove trouble for quite a few of the Pro-Ams and Ams and even a couple of the Pros. Is that Gowan swaddling on the radio? Something's happened there.
Yeah, I just clicked back because I saw swaddling went off, and then Gowan's he's back in the top 10. He's up to P8,
yeah.
So good recovery, but not enough for a round win.
I think Fahey talking about that too, so it's definitely a moment that happened there at the hairpin. But we are on the white flag lap, are we? No?
Yes, we are. Final lap of the race, confirmed by race control.
I didn't see Barney waving the flag there. That was a bit strange.
He's been a bit lazy since the rain came out. I reckon he's a little bit shitty at us that we put him out in the rain. Not this past Saturday, but it was this last Saturday night across all 3 races. He wasn't very happy because we didn't provide him with an SRW umbrella.
Look at there's a wing in the middle of the track there, looking like it may be come off an orange car.
I think that might have been Brad Hudson's possibly, or Dean Singovich's might have come off after his incident. But nonetheless, into the kind of midpoint of the circuit now. Bellac still leads the way, but at the moment it's only good enough for P2 of the round.
There we see there's a car parked up back there too, I think. Was that Wakefield?
And that might have been Wakefield. Possibly it is Wakefield. So he's just trying to nurse it back. But Ballack around the final couple of corners. He'll come home. If he can keep it clean through the final two. And he does indeed. So this will be his 4th win of the season. His first win here tonight in race number 3 for the Shannon's Formula 3 Nationals out at Okayama. Round number 7 of season 1 of 2024. There's a good run home for him. DeBona will come home P2. Gallo will come home P3. Good enough for the round win. So he'll take home the most points of tonight's race, keeping his P2 in the championship run alive and tightening the gap on his teammate Daniel Byrne, who came home P6 in this one. So going to be a very interesting scenario come the final couple of rounds of this season, Cowie, because we've got 2 massive ones coming up for this season. Of course, next week we go racing out at Phillip Island, and then we go to Mugello for round number 9. So it's going to be on for young and old over the next couple of weeks.
And of course, next week is when the drop round will get applied. So you can't use the drop round for the final round. So that, I think we've seen maybe a couple of the championships tighten up a little bit here. Because it's interesting to see how much tonight's racing has cost Andrew Johnson in the Pro-Am class. Mark Cochran, I think he has done enough to extend his lead on Rosanita, who had a pretty ordinary night. But we may well find that Tessiera has jumped him to P2 in the championship following his solid race 2 and race 3 tonight.
So I believe this will mean Catakazinos would have won the round for Pro-Am, if I'm correct, seeing as he won both the second and the third race for Pro-Am. Cochran will come home P1 for the amateurs. That's a strong run from the Apex Esports League driver. I know he's strong at an 8.6. Well, he's managing to stay consistent in the amateur class here for the F3s. And, well, for our debut season of the SF24s, he could be looking at a shiny new number box on his car with a nice little black badge on it for Pro-Am possibly. So he's currently in the hot seat for that one, but I'll have to wait and see. Only time will tell, of course, but the burnout celebration's already starting up here for our drivers as they come home. We'll get up our provisional race results here for the feature race here tonight to show you how they lined up in the final run home out at Okayama. It was Caleb Ballack in P1 to Dylan DeBono out of P2, with David Gallo coming home in P3. It's then Greg Bradley and Sam Catakazinos making up the top 5. Catakazinos will take home P1 for the Pro-Ams ahead of Daniel Byrne and Matty Gerard in behind. Gerard will come home in P2. Dougie Gowans, after a good recovery from the poor performance in race number 2, he'll get back into the top 10 for race number 3. Darren Fahey will then come home in P9 ahead of P3 for the Pro-Ams. Brad Hudson making up the top 10. It's then Chris Swadling just missing out on the top 10 and that Pro-Am podium, with Mark Cochran, Matt Tessiera and Callum Rossender coming home for the top 3 of the amateurs in race number 3 here tonight. It's then Scotty Pocock, Greg Johnston and Matt Neal in behind them, with Mitch Noble and Tyler Sheaf making up the top 19 cars on the road here tonight. It's then Nick Schmalenberg, Andrew Johnson, Dean Sinkovich, Kevin Wakefield, and Will Ryan making up our proper finishers of the night. Hodgkinson, he was out there for a bit, but he's gone 14 laps down, so possibly he didn't actually start this race, or maybe he copped a disqualification for some reason. And then it was Turner Caldwell not getting started in this race either. So, but this is how they lined up for the pros off the back of the feature race. It was Ballack, DeBono, Gallo, Bradley, Byrne, Gowans, Fahey, Pocock, and Ryan. And then for our Pro-Ams, this was how they lined up. It was Catakazinos, Gerard, Hudson, Swadling, Neal, Sheaf, Johnston, Hodgson, Turner, and Simpson. Simpson not getting started in any of the races, though, so he will not be classified. And then Cochran, Tessiera, Rossender, Johnston, Noble, Schmalenberg, Sinkovich, Wakefield, and Caldwell.
Good numbers for all 3 classes tonight. Was that 8-9 cars for each of the classes? It's a great field, almost 30 cars out there, and some good, exciting action, great moves. Saw quite a few of the Pro-Ams mix it with the pros, and even the AMs. Look at those top 3 AM positions. Well, that was 12th, 13th, and 14th in race number 3. So those guys were right in the middle, mixing it up with the big boys as well.
It was good to see. We'll drag in our amateur winner, though, for tonight, Mark Cochran. Mr. Cochran, we gave a little shout-out to some of your students in case they were watching in race number 3 here tonight, but you taught the other drivers a lesson on how to stay consistent out here, and it paid off for you, getting another round win for the amateurs and really consolidating your lead in this championship and possibly the promotion to Pro-Am for Season 2.
It was a really good race. Just try and take it easy throughout the race and not do any silly things, because I could see up ahead I couldn't keep up with this pace, so I didn't want to go too fast and end up spinning. And I could see that I was just faster than, I think, Matt Tesseraro was behind me most of the night, and I could control the pace, and I could sort of back him up when I needed to. So I could sort of back him up into, I think, Mitch in the third race.
Tesoriero and Rosanita, they're your real competition so far this season. So you've made sure you stayed ahead of them in all three of the races. So, it's looking all right with a couple of rounds to go, buddy.
Yeah, no, that was my ultimate goal, just to finish ahead of Rosinda and Tesseraro for the tonight, and just keep building those points, because I don't know about week 9. I've got to go to a school camp, so I'm not too sure if I'll be racing or not. So I just need to collect all the points I can while I have the time.
You might have to sort that out, buddy, because I don't think you can use round 9 as a drop round.
Okay, well, I might have to bring my computer to camp then. Kids can watch me race.
Put the rig in the car, there you go.
Well, all I would say is, though, Mark, is I'm sure if you can get your lead out enough by the end of the next round, you may actually be all right for the championship, just based on the fact that, let's just quickly check how much you lead by just quickly coming into this round, of course, so we don't have the updated points for this round just yet.
It was about 30-odd points
29
so
points.
far.
Yeah.
29, that's right.
So, I mean, realistically, if I can find it, Rossendar I think the point spread from, say, P10 back, and I think it's, what is it, Cowie? Is it 2 points per position possibly, or is it 4?
It does narrow down, but it's generally 3 or 4 points, I think, for the
Yeah.
sprint format races. So,
Yeah.
so you might have made a few points on the boys. I don't know if it's enough for you to drop a whole round, though, Mark.
Yeah, okay.
But
Well,
how's the racing been, though? Well, how's the racing been, though, buddy? Because, like tonight, you were sort of 11th, 12th, 13th in sort of all of those races. That's right in the middle of this pack of 27, 28 cars. How was that?
Oh, yeah, very clean. This week was very clean racing. I finished all 3 races with 0x. So I didn't see a lot of action around me. I could see who I could fight, who I couldn't fight, and I think it was just really clean. And usually when you see a sprint race for the F3s, you go, oh, no, here we go. How many safety cars are we going to have? But you have to say I was really impressed with the racing tonight.
I reckon that's got to be worth some extra points, Cowie, getting a 0x across all 3 of the races, especially with how hectic these cars can be.
We used to do that, but then you now talk to guys like Doug Grandpa Gowans, who used to be able to do that every week in the TCRs, and the extra 5 points, ended up deciding a few championships. So I think that's why they maybe dropped that, make it more about the racing. I know, like the V8s last night at Hockenheim, that T1, it's all about saving a few points left to be able to run off tracks there. But here you said, you didn't want to get on the curbs or anything, Mark, did you? It's all about staying on the black stuff.
Staying on the black stuff and avoiding the curbs, avoiding too much wheel spin out of that last hairpin, because, I don't know, it just drops off and it causes the back of the car to just step out, and you just can loop it, and, you just can't get it back on track.
Very good, mate. Well, let us know who's giving you and Apex Esports League the support out there, and anyone else you want to give a shout out to as well.
Big thanks to our incredible sponsors and partners, Packing in Advanced Simulation, Next Level Racing, Dubby, Fanatec, Stump Grinding Central Coast, and Razor. And of course, thanks to the Apex Esports League team for their ongoing support and efforts.
Very good, mate. Well, congrats on your P1 for the amateurs here tonight. Best of luck next week, and let's hope you can lock in some more points to hopefully try and put some pressure on Callan, who's trying to challenge you for this championship at the moment.
Yeah, thanks, Hamish. Thanks, Cal.
Thanks, mate. Okay, that's dragging Mr. Catagazinos. Mr. Sam Catagazinos, what a consistent run it has been from you the last couple of weeks, and you top it off tonight with not only 2 class wins, but the round win for your class as well. What an exceptional run you've been having in this little F3.
I didn't know all that, so thank you. Actually, that makes me feel better. I am so tired, exhausted. A lot of hard work trying to keep this car straight towards the end of the race. I've been making more and more slip-ups with every one of those 3 races. The rears just want to get loose on me when I want to throttle out of the corners. And then I had some interesting challenges, especially race number 2. Trying to keep my second position was hard work and rewarding.
I was going to say that to you, buddy. How was the pressure of that? Because you had a bunch of pros and pro-ams breathing down your neck there for a whole 20-minute race.
I'm really glad that the team I'm in does practice sessions, and we got to do some practicing about defending our position and taking the right line to make it difficult for the car in front. And that's something I tend to, I don't know, give away. I'm not really that conscious about how far they are behind me at the start of the straight and how quickly they close in at the end of the straight. So often the door's left open. So yeah, with that practice, I really am proud with that. Velocity boys really helped me out with at least holding on to a position with a really tough driver, really good driver, and trying to just do the job of keeping them back and also the job of keeping my car straight at the same time, being offline and off the racing line.
Was that policy the same when it was Dylan DeBono behind you, your teammate? was it let him through if he had the pace on you?
I got no idea which lap are you talking about?
No, I was just asking in general, buddy, when he's breathing down your neck. Because we know there for a while, you know, you...
Oh, Dylan, you mean race 3? I had a slip with the... I touched, gravel on the exit of the last corner going onto the straight. And I didn't have my top speed, and I thought, you know what, I'm not going to hold him up. I'm going to let him go. And we're in Discord, so well coordinated, and no one got held up. And as you saw, he's in pro, and he went way ahead of me. And I'm in AM, and yeah, I finished where I finished. So I think that was the right call.
Well, mate, regardless, big congratulations for your efforts here tonight and for your P1 in the Pro-Ams. Let us know who's giving you and Velocity Sim Labs the support out there, mate, and anyone else you want to give a shout out to as well.
Oh, basically, I want to say I give a shout out to the boys at the Velocity Sim Lab for taking me on board and doing these sessions where we get to improve our racecraft. I really am getting value out of that. Sim Racing World for putting up a fantastic series and for putting up with me, and you boys for being able to make this broadcast a success and be able to show the general public what we do, what we love doing, and how much fun it is doing it. So thank you, everyone.
You're going to thank us for finally getting your last name right, too. It's only taken us about half.
Come on, Cowie. What is it?
Xenos. I got it down pat.
Oh my God, you have improved.
I've had it down pat since your first race out on track, Sam. I don't know what you're on
Hamish
about.
has been safe for ages. It's been Cowie.
But
Cowie was the last of the
Hamish's
stragglers.
thing. It's not Hamish's thing. This is what you're forgetting, you know. Getting names wrong is my thing.
Oh, mate, congrats once again.
Congratulations.
Oh, yeah,
buddy.
Thanks for coming to have a chat to us tonight, Sam. Best of luck next time out, and hopefully you continue this strong run over the next couple of weeks.
Thank you, boys. I do hope to keep it up. Let's see how it goes.
Thanks, mate. We'll drag in Mr. David Gallo. Mr. Gallo, P3 on the road in race number 3, but P1 for the round. You are the round winner of round number 7 based on those points, mate. I don't know if you knew that whilst you were racing or not. We were kind of surmising that, maybe you had this in the back of your mind knowing when Bellac got past you, but you had some great battles out there, mate. And Sam was like the Great Wall of China, just unable to get past him there in race 2.
Yeah, no, Sam definitely made it interesting there. So, but I thought I'll back out of it. No point sort of with a couple laps to go doing anything. So, and the car felt really on edge. But yeah, I'm actually stoked at that. I didn't think I'd come out on pole for the actual round. So I thought Caleb might have pipped me there.
Well, we did the maths in our head throughout the race. Obviously, you finished one spot behind him in race 1. but they managed to beat him by 2 places in the second race. So it was basically you just had to finish within 3 positions of him if he were to finish ahead of you. And you did that. So that will be the round win for you, mate. Obviously, this has now kind of tightened up the championship run for yourself, for Daniel, and for Caleb as well, because obviously Daniel having to start from the back of the field, race his way up to P10 in race 1, start on pole, get the win in race 2, but then drop back a little bit there in race 3. So we haven't really got the exact numbers just yet, but it is looking quite tight for the final 2 rounds, especially since next week is the final drop round for the season. Are you and Daniel going to battle this out for this championship, possibly, if it comes down to it? Or, is it going to be one person gets a little bit more favour than the other?
I think we'll probably battle it out. There's no real team orders. Generally, we keep it pretty clean in race anyway. So I think he's got a bit of a jump on us by 30-odd points. So it'll be interesting to see where this sort of brings us, how pointy, towards the pointy end it is. Yeah, so with 2 rounds.
Well, how was the racing out there for you? Obviously, Sam gave you a good battle in the first race, and in the second you were kind of having to defend hard against Gerard in behind you, and then obviously you and Caleb battled out for race 1. So, what was it? Some good battling out there. It looked good from our end, but how did it feel in the car?
Yeah, the batting was good. It was actually a good track for the car, well suited. There's a fine tipping point between cold tyres, 2 or 3 laps of the car feeling on song, and then sort of getting them too hot and it's on ice. So it's definitely a balancing act. I think Caleb and Dylan did it much better than what I did in the final there. But nonetheless, it was good fun, great racing.
Very good, mate. Well, let us know who's giving you and Carlin's Motorsport the support out there, and anyone else you want to give a shout out to as well.
Yeah, sweet. Thanks, guys. Just shout out to Driver 808, Glam Raider, Carlin's Motorsport, Little Rara, and Eagles Automotive. And a shout out to the wife and my 2 daughters, Anthea and Valerie. Thank you, guys.
Thanks a lot, mate. Congratulations once again on your round win and your double podium here tonight. Best of luck next time out on track for round number 8, and if we don't speak to you, best of luck for the rest of the season.
Cheers, guys. Thank you.
Thanks, mate.
Buddy.
Mr. Dylan De Bono, so close yet so far to that win here tonight on track, but you had some great pace out there, mate. We saw you and Caleb getting the shoulders out together. The battle looked absolutely epic. How did it feel in the car?
Yeah, firstly, it was a good way to finish a night, with the round win. No point risking stuff if to ruin it. Other than that, yeah, it was good racing. Lots of moves happening, close racing, and yeah.
The race number 1, Dylan, were you just happy to sit in behind Dougie? Was it a little bit of shotgun driving from you there, just keeping an eye on the boys behind?
Nah, mate, to be honest with you, he had the pace, so I'm not going to lie to you about that. He's quick tonight. He got unlucky in that second race and, sort of ruined his night. But that first race...
How did you avoid him in that second race? Because he had a horror start.
Yeah, no, I think he had the spinner going onto the back straight. And I just heard him in the Discord yelling out, I was like, oh no. So I just avoided him and got out of his way.
So I've just kind of doing the maths in my head. So race 1 you finished in P2. Obviously race 3 you finished P2. Race 4 was race 2. Sorry, was P4, wasn't it?
Yeah. Yep.
Oh, I was wrong then. It wasn't David Gallo who won the round. It was in fact you. It wouldn't have been by much. But
yeah, I'm not sure.
It might be really close.
It's going to be close between the 2 of you. Yeah.
Well, I'd say, even if it's P2 for you or P1 for you, I think both of you did an exceptional job out there. Obviously, the battles were good that we saw on track. You did well. You just kept it nice and consistent in race 1. Got the elbows out in race 2. We saw some little moments there where you and Caleb kind of had a little touch or a little rub on track. But at the end of the day, you come home with two podium finishes in P2 and then obviously a P4 as well. How are you feeling going into the final couple of rounds? Obviously, you're out of the championship battle, but you're still up there to be able to really shake up the order of things.
Yeah, I'm just enjoying my time racing these cars. I heard we're not going to be racing them next season, so just going to be having fun driving these cars. Trying to learn a bit more open wheel stuff. I'm pretty
pretty amateur at this open wheel and stuff, and how to save the tires and that sort of stuff. But I'll keep putting the laps in, and yeah.
Well, I mean, how are you feeling going over on the changeover to the SF24? Obviously, the Super Formula Light will be our new F3 car going forward, starting with our next F1 Shadow Series round, which will be after the end of Season 1, prior to Season 2 happening. We've heard that it's a little bit easier to drive, but it's a bit slower down the straights, but it makes up for that lap time in the corners. So how are you kind of feeling going into that change, and remembering that you've now got DRS available to you as well in that car? So do you think it's a good change, or do you think maybe it's, how are you feeling going into it?
Yeah, I think there's pros and cons to all of it. I've done a little bit of testing in it so far and some racing. It's mega car to drive. It's so fun. I think the cons to it will be it's a faster car, higher mid corner speed. So I think the racing will be a little bit harder. It will always be a bit closer to how the F1 races in real life. But again, I think once we all sort of understand how it races and drives, I think the racing would be great, just like the F3.
Very good, mate. Well, let us know who's giving you the support out there, and Velocity Sim Labs as well, and anyone else you want to give a shout out to as well.
Yeah, thanks to the guys over at Velocity Sim Lab. We've gone through some changes lately, and we're all working as a team together. Dougie, everyone, all the boys. You guys, SRW, for putting on the racing. It's personally it's only league I race, but I think it's one of the best in Australia. When you can race 6 nights a week consistently. I mean, where else can you do that? You guys for the stream. It's top notch every week, and all the guys for racing and turning up.
Very good, mate. Well, congratulations once again on your performances here tonight. Best of luck out in the final 2 rounds of the season, and looking forward to seeing how you're going to go next season in that new car.
Yeah, cheers, guys. Thanks.
Thanks, mate. Mr. Caleb Ballack, you come home P1 in the race in race 3, but you just miss out on the round win. We saw you get the elbows out a little bit there. We saw a big wild moment in race 2 where you sent it up the inside of the end of the straight. Were there any different colours on your race suit after that one?
Oh man, I think I kept it pretty tame. I didn't send it from too far back. Tried to keep as level-headed as possible, not get too far ahead of myself, do it one move at a time, and not take too many risks. I mean, I had a couple of worrying moments, but I think I managed them pretty well.
Well, we saw the Velocity Sim Lab boys maybe close the door on you a little bit there, got a bit of wind damage for race number 2. So, it was all about sort of making sure you made the most of that start race number 3. But there was a stalled car on the line. Were you caught up in that?
No, luckily I managed to get around that. Got really lucky there. Obviously, he held up the left line. I was in the right line, so got lucky. Managed to get up to P3 after the first lap, and then slowly picked them off. Got up to P2. Then we obviously got the safety car and made my move. Then lap we restarted and held it to the end.
So, mate, obviously this championship battle has now tightened up a little bit between yourself, David Gallo, and Daniel Byrne. How are you feeling going into the final couple of rounds now, knowing that championship battle's now within 30 points, and next week is the final drop round?
Some bad news for you guys. Don't know if you're ready for it, but I won't be here for the last 2 rounds.
Really?
So it'll be between them two. See what they can do. Had to go out with a win, so gave it my all tonight.
Well, there's probably no better way you could end the season then. I guess this will be your final send-off for the F3, being that we're making the changeover next season for the SF24. So it's got to feel pretty special to at least end your run in this car for SRW with a win after some struggles this season and in seasons past. But you ended on a high, and possibly you could get going again in the new car with an even better start. So we can only wait and see and hope that it's going to be even better for you in this new car. But it was a mega run for you tonight, been a great run for you so far this season. Unfortunately, it might mean that you will miss out on top 3 in the championship, missing the final 2 rounds. But you've had some good performances so far, and you've also got the most wins of the season so far as well with 4.
Oh, well, I mean, it all sounds really good, right? I mean, we've had a great season. Obviously, had its ups and downs like every good season does, but we'll take away the positives and try to carry some momentum into the new SF Light.
Well, I mean, not only take away the positives, but try and learn from the negatives as well, because sometimes you can learn more from those than you can from those positives. Am I right?
Yeah, you're absolutely right. Obviously, not perfect. Need to not make the same mistakes again. Like, don't send it around the outside going onto the back straight. It doesn't work. There's a big bump and you lose positions.
Well, mate, as long as you're able to learn or willing to learn, I'm sure there'll be a heap of benefits for you to come and a heap of pace to gain as well. But congratulations on your win in race number 3. It was a great effort from you here tonight. Congratulations on the top 3 for the round results too. Let us know who's giving you the support out there, mate, and anyone else you want to give a shout out to as well.
Yeah, thanks guys. Really appreciate it. SLM Motorsport really gave me the help tonight. Got me there. We made a couple of good decisions. Matt Keane was my spotter. Really helped me there. And Pioneer DJ, obviously the major sponsor of the car. And thank you guys. Always here. Always having such a great broadcast. Couldn't do it without you.
Very good, mate. Well, best of luck next season. Hopefully you'll be back for the next F1 Shadow round, which will be in between season 1 and 2. But if you're not, we look forward to seeing how you go in the debut of the SF24 for season 22. For season 2, I should say.
Yeah, I mean, hopefully I'll be back. I've got something clashing, so I might be back for the later half of it. I'm not quite sure yet. We'll have to wait and see.
Oh, well, mate, best of luck in any other racing endeavours you have, whether it's in SRW or outside of it, and look forward to see how you go when you get back.
Yeah, thanks, Hamish. Thanks, Gary.
Thanks, mate.
Buddy.
Well, Cowie, what a nice little kind of return to F3s it was for you tonight. We had the one safety car out there, some nice little super sprint action, of course. And at the end of the day, now knowing the news that the championship battle is now a top 2 fight between the boys out at Carlin's Motorsport. You know, it's going to be a good run for them.
Well, you know, David assuring us that he reckons it'll be a full-on battle to the end between those boys. But yeah, look, it was a great night of racing. Okayama is a great track for the F3s, really one that's conducive to good action. You get a chance to make moves. You've got that toe down the back straight. You know, we saw the hairpin at the end of there. You could almost go too wide around the outside, hold the inside line, but you could defend it. You know, Caleb, you know, right in the thick of those battles and comes home with the victory in race number 3. So, yeah, just an exciting night of racing, buddy, and glad to be back.
Well, mate, it's been great to have you back. Hopefully it's going to be an absolutely fantastic run home for us throughout the rest of the season. There are 2 rounds left, ladies and gentlemen, of the Shannon's Insurance Formula 3 Nationals until we farewell this current build of the F3 car and move on to the SF24. Those final 2 rounds being Phillip Island for sprint action next week, and then we round it all out at Mugello, which should be absolutely mega to see these F3s. And what a way to send them off after some epic action, the supercars around there earlier this season. I can think of no better way and no better track to send these cars home with. But big thank you to everyone who tuned in tonight, welcomed us into their homes or wherever you may be watching from. Big thank you to all of our series sponsors as well: Warren & Brown Tools, Shannon's Insurance, Motorsport Australia, Shunt Scenery, DSL Rail Services, NeuroPower and Grimm Industries, as well as the promo department for our safety car. And be sure to hit the like button, hit the subscribe button as well, and the bell icon so you are notified anytime we go racing here on SRW TV across all 6 nights that we have on offer for you. Starting out on Tuesday nights, it's the Warren & Brown Tools V8 Supercar Series. The Wednesday night, Shannon's Insurance Formula 3 Nationals. The Thursday night, Shannon Insurance GR86 Nationals, which is also a Motorsport Australia official series. The Friday night, IMSA Shadow Series, brought to you by Warren & Brown Tools. The Sunday night, Warren & Brown Tools V8 Supercars Pro-Am Series, and rounding out our racing week, the Motorsport Australia wow, I'm getting my words so muddled up. I'm normally so good at that. The Monday night, Motorsport Australia Formula V Nationals, which is also a Motorsport Australia official series. But for myself, Hamish Munro and Andrew Cowan alongside me, thank you so much for joining us here for round number 7 of season 1 of 2024 of the Shannon's Formula 3 Nationals out at Okayama International Circuit. We'll see you guys next time here for Shannon's Formula 3 action out at Phillip Island, and for tomorrow night with JP back in the booth for the Toyota GR86 action. But until then, from SRW TV, myself and Cowie, bye for now.
This is amazing. I was clash heads again. This is like Chad Moscow and Cam Waters. Almost the same situation. Better contact going down to the hill. Sam Noble wants to sniff on Dave Coleman now. Sam Noble bottle right now because, tell you what, Bruce Tanak and Jamie Dyke just absolutely drove away from us.